the Reti opening. If you're not a fan of all these opening theory and memorizing lines, you could hit someone with the Reti. And today you're about to learn everything there is to learn about the Reti opening. The opening moves, the middle game plans, the traps, everything. All you need to do is watch this full video. Apply what I teach and watch your ratings goes through the roof. Picking things off in the 500 region. Today I'm going to be showing you guys the Reti opening. This is one of those opening that it could transpose into a lot of different opening, and it's going to be taking your opponent out of what they're used to. So pawn to d5, we play pawn to c4. As they take on c4, we play e3. The simple idea is to just win back the pawn on c4, and it's really not easy for them to keep it guarded. Knight c6, we simply take on c4, and pawn to e5 is definitely a move that they could play. The whole idea is to try to play e4 and chase away our knight, which is what he's going for. Here, I'm just going to develop my knight to c3, just normal development move. It's also preventing him from playing pawn to e4, and from here, I'm usually seeing them developing their pieces. Bishop f5 is a development move. It also prepares to play e4. The thing about this move is notice how the pawn on b7 is now left unprotected, and the f7 pawn is the weakest pawn on the chessboard. With that being said, I'm now able to play the move queen to b3, which attacks the b7 unprotected pawn, and it also applies more pressure on his f7 pawn. And he decides to defend the b6 pawn. And now we simply take on f7 with check. Not only is he losing the right to castle his king, he's also losing his knight. Now, it would have been a checkmate on e6 if his bishop was not there. So looking for some removing the guard tactic is also a possibility. I mean, that's just a free knight though, to be honest. But I mean, I could play e4. Maybe he attacks my queen though. So let's just take the free knight. And just like that, we're already winning. Okay, bishop was developed to b4, which means now there's two pieces attacking my bishop. So now I need to save my bishop. Let's just pull it out the way, apply some pressure to his knight, which is also pinned to his rook on a8. All right, he's trading. Like all the trades are going to be good for us, by the way, guys. Let's take with the B pawn, just taking towards the center of the board. Pawn to D4 can also be a good move. This knight is also the main defender of this pawn on E5, which means if we're able to eliminate this knight, then this pawn is just going to be hanging. Okay, he got his rook in the game. The thing about this position is, could take the knight and then take with check. But what if I don't take the knight and instead I play something like queen a4 and apply more pressure to his pinned knight? I mean, his knight is basically pinned in two different directions, by the way. He needs to find a way to defend his knight with moves like queen f6 or rook f6. Okay, so he found rook f6, a good defensive move. The thing about this though, okay, there's a tactic alert here. Like I want you guys to be finding something very simple, by the way. We already discussed that the knight is guarding the pawn. Wait, okay, like what I thought about was just take the knight and play knight takes e5, which will win some material. But now I'm thinking about it, I could just take on e5 because it comes with check. And now I'm attacking his knight one, two, three times, and he's only guarding it twice. So we're already ahead by a piece and we're about to win even more material. The king decides to go back. Now I'm thinking about some checkmates at this point. Like, watch this. Once I take with the bishop, I'm attacking his rook. But pay attention to the fact that his king does not have a lot of running squares and my queen is ready to move to a6. So he decides to sacrifice his rook. And there are different ways to take the rook. Like I could take with the queen, hit the rook. I'm assuming he's going to move the rook out the way. So let's just take with the knight and attack his queen. He also moves the queen out of the way. Now I'm thinking about some possibilities of checkmating his king. Like there's always a check here. The king is going to run. And if I check here, then the king is just going to keep running. So the best thing to do in this scenario is just to bring more pieces in the game, finally developing my bishop. I don't think castling or trying to get the rooks in the game is going to help with checkmate here. But now he pulls his bishop back to d7. That was the only square that his king could run to, which means that's just a checkmate. More Reti opening against 600 level players. Stick around. Opponent is now 600. Let's play some more Reti opening. All right, now he's playing e6. We're going to continue with the regular c4 here. Then after d5, we play b3, and it transposes into something that we know. Usually this goes knight f3, d5, then we play c4, then they play e6, then we play b3. So we're basically seeing a transposition from here. With that being said, our dark squared bishop usually goes on this very nice diagonal. And from here, we're just gonna develop and castle. Play pawn e3, bishop e2, and get our king out the center of the board. Okay, he's developing. Let's continue with our development as well. Okay, I'm assuming he's going to castle his king on the queen side. It's going to be a very fun game if he does that. That's exactly what he did. This time I'm going to play knight c3. Usually I play d3, knight d2, but because of the opposite side castles, I want to get my pieces out so that way I can start the pawn storm as quickly as possible. Because what he needs to do is to try to start an attack on my king side, but he also needs to finish his development first. Okay, he plays f6. Maybe he wants to prevent this, or he's going to start his pawn storm without even developing his pieces. That could be a premature attack. Let me continue to get all my pieces in the game. Remember, after the development of all your minor pieces, we need to start thinking about getting the major pieces in the game. Okay, putting the bishop on e7 will make it harder for him to find a square for the knight, unless he wants to put it on the edge of the board. Now I'm going to start my pawn storm. a3, pawns are coming. All right. I need to be careful. Let's take on d5. I'm noticing the king and the queen on the same line. So if I'm able to safely get a bishop here, then he could be losing some material. Okay, pawn takes. Now we go b4, trying to continue with the storm. He's also going to continue with his storm, I'm assuming. Okay, he moves the knight. Guy, he's literally just asked for tactical alert, guys. Like, he literally just gave me exactly what I wanted. Look at this. I take on e5. He takes back on e5. Because the king and the queen is on the same line, I hit him with bishop g4, and then we simply win the queen. 14 moves in the game. Okay, he pushed the pawn. Because the threat is better than the execution, I don't necessarily have to take the queen since it's dead. So what I'm going to do is play knight b5, and now I'm applying pressure to his focal point on c7. Okay, now he sacked the queen. And I can always take here first with check, but let's just take. And then after the king moves out of the way, maybe that's when I'm going to take. Let's take with the knight though, because if I take with the rook, maybe he's able to play a6. He resigns. More Reti opening against 700 level players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 700. We're playing some more Reti opening. Once they play d5, we usually like to play c4. It's gambiting a pawn, but it's not like you're going to lose the pawn because if they take the pawn, you play e3, you're just going to take it back on the next turn. He did take the pawn. Here we play e3, and that's exactly how we want to win back the pawn. And I mean, there are some ways in which he could try to be greedy. For example, that is one of the ways in which he could try to be greedy, but it's not really good for him because first of all, he's already blocking his e pawn. Like I want to take on the next move, but there's a lot of things I could do. For example, there's already knight to d4, and what this is doing is I'm attacking the bishop, which is the main defender of the pawn. Once I take the bishop, I'll take the pawn. And by the way, yes, I'm moving the same piece more than once in the opening, but that's because my opponent is also breaking opening principles. Moving the pawn to d5, then taking on c4 is breaking opening principle. He moves the bishop yet again. And from here, I'll just simply develop my knight and attack the bishop. Now I'm expecting him to play maybe c6 or e6, but then I'm just going to be attacking the bishop again. All right, okay, maybe I need to be a bit careful because if I play e4, I think he's able to take on e4. There are some cases where I could play check, pawn push, then take, but then b5 could be very strong. Or maybe I could just sacrifice my bishop and then check, but pawn to b5 could be a nice move. So maybe I need to be a bit careful here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and play e4. Like, there's a little tactic here where he's able to take on e4. But if he takes on e4, maybe I'm not going to take back the bishop. Maybe I'm going to check him here, take this pawn, and then his bishop is going to be under attack. But I'm also assuming that he's going to just pull the bishop back to c6. Let's see what this guy does. Mm. Instead, he decides to counterattack my knight. All right, if I take his bishop, he takes my knight. So I'm going to take his bishop with. Oh, wait, do I need to take his bishop? Why not just pull my knight back to f3? His bishop is still under attack. If he pulls the bishop back, now this pawn is hanging, which means his bishop is under attack and his pawn on e5 is hanging. Like, this is one of those cases where you should really just not try to be greedy in the opening stage of the game. Like, use the opening stage of the game to finish your development, not to try to win a pawn that is not even a central pawn. So he pulls the bishop back, really trying to ensure that he's defending c4. But now we take on e5, and now I have two pawns in the center, and I'm attacking the same pawn on c4 twice. So he develops the bishop. You need to be slightly careful here since my f pawn is under attack. If I play bishop takes, there's queen here. If I play knight takes, bishop takes, and if I takes, there's queen to d4, or maybe he's gonna sack then play queen to d4. So still, we still need to be a bit careful. So here's what I'm gonna do. Instead, I'm gonna play bishop takes. If he plays immediate queen d4, which threatens mate, which he didn't, he took first, and now I'm gonna take. I think he's able. Nah, he's not able to sack because if he tries to sack and I take queen d4 check, he's not able to take the knight since I'm gonna block with the knight. So it's funny how he was trying to hold on to the pawn. Now he's behind by a pawn. Now I'll simply get my king out the center of the board. Ideally, though, I would love to play d4 and attack his bishop. So he castle his king. Let's go d3. Plan is just to finish my development. I either want to go bishop e3 or bishop to g5. But once it's a development move, it should be good. Okay, knight c6. He's developing. Let's also develop as well. Let's go bishop e3. And if he takes, I may just go ahead and take with the pawn. So that way my rook gets the open val. But he didn't take. He jumps in with the knight. All right, how do we continue from here? I mean, my minor pieces are developed, so need to start thinking about getting my major pieces in the game. Let's go rook c1. Rooks do need file. All right, now he plays c6. All right, how does this work? Knight to e2 is an idea. There's a3, b4 to chase away the bishop. I'm trying to start some attack on his king, though. So let's just go knight e2. I'm trying to get rid of this knight. That's a very strong knight, to be honest. So let's see if we're able to get rid of that knight. If he takes on e2, we take back. Oh, guy said offense is the best defense. He said it again. The thing is with this move is, yes, it attacks my knight, which I'm just going to move out the way. His pawn on c6 is now a bit weak, and because his bishop is unprotected, I'm going to go knight e5. My rook attacks the bishop. My knight applies pressure to his pawn on c6. So he could be losing some material if he does not just find the next absolutely top best moves. Okay, he just pulls the bishop back. So there's two defenders here, two attackers here. Oh, tactic alert, tactic alert. You see, that's the clue that I use to find the best move. I'm attacking this pawn on c6 twice. He's guarding it once. The knight is one of the main defenders of the knight, so I eliminate the knight. But we do not stop there. Once he takes, I don't immediately go ahead and take. I take on c6, forking the queen and the bishop. Now I'm attacking his queen, and I have two pieces attacking his bishop, which means just like that, he's about to lose a piece. All right, queen moves out the way. Now we take the free piece, and I'm also noticing the queen and the knight is sitting in a pawn fork pattern. So if he's not careful, pawn to e5 will also be another fork. There's no knight g4 here threatening any mate, by the way, because my queen covers the square. He still played it. He still went for it. That's a piece, bro. That is a piece, bro. Now I'm just ahead by two whole entire pieces. Okay, he plays g6. Kind of saw that I wanted to go knight f5. I mean, there's nothing guarding this pawn though, so why not take the free pawn and attack his queen? Now, he is able to take this pawn. Okay, maybe I did some miscalculation because my plan was to play rook d1, hit the queen, but my knight would be hanging. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go knight c7 and attack the rook, and I'm more than likely he's going to play rook to c8. Like, he's going to just walk right into this fork. Let's see if he's going to walk into the fork. He walked right into it. So now we check him on e7, forcing the king to move, and that's even more material for us. All right, so king moves out the way. Let's grab the rook. Bro, why is he pre-moving? That's more material. Lock in, buddy. Okay, this is now just winning, guys. Now I'm just going to go for mate. Like, he's running with the king, not trying to miss any checkmates here. Let's play f4 first, because I notice his king is able to run here. So pawn to f4 prevents that. His king is not able to run here because of my knight, which means if I'm able to play a good check, it will lead to checkmate. So his queen is currently preventing the mate, which he got greedy, took a pawn, which means that's just a checkmate. More Reti opening against 800 level players. Stick around. Opponent is now 800. Let's play some more Reti opening. So now we're seeing d6, not d5. We're still going to be playing pawn c4 here. And now we're seeing knight f6. All right, let's just go with b3. Very simple idea. Bishop goes to b2, pawn goes to e3. We're just playing our normal Reti setup. And now we're seeing g6. So he's basically trying to challenge my fianchetto bishop on this diagonal. Let's play e3 though. Plan is to develop my bishop to e2, get the king out the center of the board. He's playing fast as well. Looks like he's knowing what he's doing. But it's a normal King's Indian setup that he's playing. So I'm assuming he knows what he's doing. Knight d7, still he's doing fine. Let's get the king out the center of the board. He hasn't made any mistakes just yet. And then we're seeing b6. Think he's trying to go for a double fianchetto. I'm going to go ahead and play d4 here. Looks like it's blocking out my dark squared bishop, but the center of the board is still very flexible. And I'm thinking about playing d5 in the future, so that way his light squared bishop is not too active. Okay, he's developing. Let's do the same. Finish my development. All my minor pieces are out. All his minor pieces are out. So from here, we're both trying to focus on getting our major pieces in the game. C5. All right, the thing about C5 is my plan was to play D5 anyways, because now that I play D5, my dark squared bishop is a bit stronger. His light squared bishop is a bit weaker. My light squared bishop is also a bit weaker since I'm putting most of my pawns on light squares. Uh, okay, that move I don't really understand. Maybe he wants e6, but he could have just went ahead and play e6. I'm gonna go e4 here, just to keep as much central control as I possibly can. And then he plays e5. So he didn't play e6, he played e5. Now, the thing about this move is both of his bishops are not good, but it's going to be a bit difficult for me to like break through an attack. So I'm going to use the time to Empasan. And once I Empasan, I'm basically allowing his bishops to be more active. I'm allowing his knight to be more active, but his pawn on d6 becomes a backward pawn. And that could be something that I could target in the future. So he's attacking my pawn on e4 3 times and I'm only guarding it once. How on earth am I going to not lose this pawn? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is go knight to g5 and attack that queen. So let's see where he's going to put the queen. Maybe he's going to just pull it back to e7. In a lot of cases, I'm assuming he's going to play h6 and chase away my knight. Okay, so he did pull the queen back. And from here, I'm going to go with, let's go with bishop to f3 and try to apply some more defense to the pawn. Now, if he, let's say he plays h6 though, like if he plays h6, he's basically trying to chase away my knight, which is one of the main defenders of the pawn, but he didn't. He played knight to f3, which is also a very strong move. Eventually, I think he's going to play h6, so I'm going to try my best to defend my e4 pawn as best as I possibly can. And then after this, I may play moves like rook e1, rook d1, just to ensure that I have all my pieces in the game. But then he took another nice move. Yeah, that's just a nice move. Because now I don't want to take with the pawn. That's going to give me double pawns. I have to take with the knight. Now he has 3 attackers on my pawn. I only have 2 defenders, which means if he take this pawn, that's just a pawn. It's a bit tricky though, because if he takes the pawn, the queen and the knight is on the same line. And I may play something like rook to e1 to try to apply some pressure to this pin knight. But first I'm going to take here because I don't want him to take my bishop and then my queen is no longer applying pressure to this knight. After his king takes, that's when I'm going to play rook to e1. Okay, so the king takes, let's go rook to e1. Now we're pinning that knight, which is, it's not really hard to defend the knight, by the way. Like, I'm already seeing moves like pawn to f5, but I have a very simple plan here. Like, my goal is to apply as much pressure as possible to that knight. So I mean, if I take, he's probably going to take with the bishop. So that's not necessarily going to be working just now or just yet. So let's just use the time to bring more pieces in the game. Yo, this guy's 800, by the way, guys. Like, he's playing some chess. Usually when I see them playing so well and their rating is so low, then I usually just predict that it's going to be like some crazy level 1 blunder that cost them the game. But let's see. Let's see. All right, I'm trying to activate this rook a bit more. So let's go knight f1. Maybe I need to use this knight to eliminate this knight and eventually get this knight on the d5 square. His pawn is still backward, so still good for us. Okay, now we go knight f to d2. So that way, eventually I can play f3 and chase away this knight. Okay, he's trading. Let's just take, applying some pressure to d6. Maybe I'm going to have to use my endgame skills to win this game. Who knows? Yo, guy played f4. Like, the only move that I wanted to play was to play knight to e3 and get my knight in the game. And the guy played f4. All right, the pawn is not necessarily hanging just yet because after the trade, I'm going to be losing my rook. But In order for me to win this pawn, I first have to take on e8. And then only after his rook takes back, then I take on d6. Okay, now we take on d6. We're now in an endgame, especially if he trades the queens off the board. Position is now completely equal, by the way, but he has a very strong bishop, and I have a knight that is very hard to join the game. So how am I going to pull this off? Let's see. Whoa, he declines the queen trade. That's very cool. I was expecting queen to g5 though, and threaten some checkmates on g2. I need to figure out how to get this knight in the game. I need this knight to be active. All right, very small idea that I have is to play h3 and then try to get my knight around this way. I mean, I could have also played knight d2, but from d2, it's not like I'm able to play knight f3 because the bishop is going to take, and I don't want to double up my pawns. King h6, I don't really understand. But let's continue with the plan. Knight goes to f3. In a lot of cases, the knight could go to g4 and check the king. He's still able to play f3 though, so it's still not an easy position for me to play. Now the queen comes to f5. All right, I have a plan here. I have a plan. Knight g4, if the king goes back, we check him here. It's hitting the king and the unprotected bishop. And obviously, if the queen trade, it's the same thing. So let's go with knight g4 check. I want you guys to notice how in positions like these, I have a lot of students who are always saying, I just do not know what the plan is. It's most of the times you just want to find a piece that is not doing anything and just get it in the game. So, for example, my knight is not doing anything. I try to get it in the game. Okay, king here, I also wasn't expecting. So maybe pawn to h5 attack my knight is an idea. The rook is unprotected. I'm trying to see if there's a way to attack it. I want to go queen d7 here though. Like takes, hit the bishop. If he checks, I just move the king and I should be able to try to grab these pawns. Pawn h5 is an idea though. That could trap my knight, so we still have to be very careful there. There's also queen to c7 here. I like queen to c7. I think it does the same thing. It attacks the unprotected bishop, and my queen could still take this unprotected pawn on h7. And if he allows me to take on h7, he could be getting checkmated on h6. But let's see what happens from here. Oof, look at that move. Offense is the best defense. He guarded the bishop and he's threatening a checkmate on g2. But what I'm going to do is, since we know that offense is the best defense, I'm going to play pawn f3, which attacks the queen, and h7 is still under attack. There's also no good checks on my king as well. Okay, I'm expecting some queen e7, because if I play rook to d7, he checks. King up, check. King back, and that could lead to a draw. Okay, didn't trade queens. Instead, he's attacking my rook. Think I'm going to get a bit creative here, because if I move the rook, that's going to lead to a draw. What if I take the pawn, allow him to check? No, that's never going to work because it's a check. That's just never going to work. There's also check followed by queen takes that I like. Still, there's no good checks on my king as long as I keep my rook on the back rank. All right, so maybe I'm just going to put the rook on f1 here. Yo, it's crazy how well this guy's playing, and his elo is only 800 though. Actually, I'm going to pull my knight back and protect the rook. Because now his bishop is still under attack, and I'm still trying to play h4 followed by queen takes f4. Okay, he saves the bishop. The thing about this, though, the bishop no longer covers the square, so that's an available check. If I check, the bishop could block, the king could move. I want to check him here, and after king takes, I take. He's able to go back, though, so maybe I should just grab this pawn, because the possibility of checking him here is still there. So let's just grab this pawn. At least I could save my head by a pawn. Now there's some rook to d5 ideas. There's more than one checking possibilities. There's also some knight e4 ideas, even though he's able to sack the rook, so we still have to be careful. Okay, bishop joins the game. I check him here, king has to go back. I check him here, king goes here. And then I don't have much after that. So what if I just play rook to d6, which threatens mate? Like, even if he checks, I'm just going to move the king. And if he takes, oh, it's not mate because the queen covers the square. Interesting. All right, check king here, check king here. Yo, what am I missing? Well, I'm not really seeing what he has. I mean, that's a pawn that is hanging though. But let's go for it. Let's check the king and send this king in the open. I'm not really seeing this though. Like, a check is there, but his bishop is just going to take. A check is here, but once the king goes here, I'm not seeing any follow-ups that I have. I mean, I could also check him here again, which forces his king to step back. And then after that, I'm not seeing what I have. So let's just grab this pawn. Now we're ahead by 2 pawns, and I'm attacking this. The bishop comes in to attack my rook, but now it's allowing me to be able to check him here. If I takes with check, he's gonna block with the rook. If I check with the rook, there's still king here. Okay, let's check him with the knight. I need to be aware that my rook is under attack. He has no time on the clock though. This could be leading to checkmate if he plays king f5, which is what he did. Guy played so well, by the way. But my fellow viewers, this is just a checkmate. More Reti opening against 900 level players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 900. Let's play some more Reti opening. So knight f6, I'm going to go with b3. I'm assuming he's going for some fianchetto type of setup. Let's also fianchetto the bishop. And you know how I'm going to be playing from here. I'm going to go e3, bishop e2, pawn d4, and just develop normally. So he's just getting out with his King's Indian setup. I'm getting out with my Reti setup. Bishop g4. Okay, let's get the king castle. And because he played bishop g4, I'm assuming he's like a pure defense player. But now I'm going to play the move pawn d4, trying to make it a bit harder for him to play e5. But if he really needs to play e5, he can go rook e8, e5, or eliminate my knight and try to play e5. But at that point, his pawn on b7 is going to be hanging. Okay, so he chooses to play c5. All right, so in that game against the 800 guy, I played d5 and it went very weird. Okay, before I play d5, let's finish my development first. Let's go knight d2 first and see what's really happening. Like if he takes, I take back. Maybe I'm gonna play d5 followed by e4. But let's see what's really happening. Okay, now we're seeing b6. Fair enough, fair enough. Now we're gonna go with d5. Still going with the same d5 e4 idea. And okay, maybe I'm gonna emphasize on if he takes. Like I'm trying to open the game, but maybe I shouldn't try to open the game. All right, queen moves to c7. Now we play e4. We definitely have some space advantage going on for ourselves in the center of the board. If he plays e5, I'm assuming it's not good to en passant because in the 800 game I en passant and it was weird. So now he plays a6. There's cases where he wants to play b5. But for now, I have two pieces covering the square. So let's simply connect to our rooks. So we're now in the middle game, guys. All minor pieces are developed. King is castled. Rooks are connected, which means now we need to start thinking about our major pieces. Whoa, he still played b5. That's a very bold move. I think it's like a pawn sacrifice, though. Because I have two pieces on the square. He only has one. Once I takes, he takes, bishop takes. I'm already ahead by a pawn, but maybe he's just sacrificing the pawn to gain some queenside space. I don't think it's gonna work for him though. Let's see what he does. Now I take the pawn. He pulls the queen back, which is also another weird move that I wasn't expecting. Why did he pull the queen back? This is a pass pawn, by the way, guys. Let's start rolling the pass pawn up the board. If I could get this pawn to a6, my bishop is always going to be guarding it. But if I could get the pawn to a7 and then play bishop c6, that just wins the game. All right, now he decides to take. Let's just take back. I'm not going to take with the pawn and double up my pawns. Okay, now we're seeing a knight on the edge of the board. Fair enough. My knight isn't really doing much on the king side. I think if I'm able to get my knight to c4, it's going to be a bit more active. So let's just pull the knight back. Like if he wants to take, that's fine. I'm just going to take back with the queen and then continue to play on the queen side. I'm also ahead by a pawn here. Another knight jumps into e5. The thing about this move is, what is stopping me from playing, let's say, 4 and just chase away the knight? Knight g4 to e3 is an idea, though. Need to be careful about that because I could be getting forked if I'm not careful. Yeah, he just decides to pull the knight all the way back to d7. So one could say he was just wasting time. Let's play knight c4, improving my knight. Now he's the one that needs to be careful because there's some tactical ideas that is being threatened here. Like, be on the lookout from here. Okay, he pulls the knight back, so no tactic just yet. I want to play e5. E5 takes. I'm going to be losing this pawn. Okay, I mean, I don't think what I'm trying to do works. What I'm trying to do is fork him here. But this pawn knight covers the square. And if I try to eliminate this knight, he's going to take with this knight. So I'm trying to take this knight. But if I take this knight and he plays bishop takes, my rook is going to be under attack. So even if I take and then fork, after I take his rook, he's going to take my rook. So I'm going to go with rook to d1. I need to keep this rook behind the pawn. I'm going to try to play e5. And after the trade, I'm not going to be losing my d pawn. I also need to just continue rolling my pass pawn up the board. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we have some tactical alert happening because he moves the knight out the way. First thing I'm going to do is just trade the bishops off the board. Just get that out the way, especially if he takes with the knight because the knight is currently attacking f4. This is the tactical alert that we've been talking about, guys. If I get a knight on the b6 square, that's a fork. But his knight covers the b6 square, which is why I'm going to eliminate the knight. This is called removing the guard after he takes with the queen. So when we jump in with knight b6. Now the queen has to move. Once he moves the queen out the way, we grab the rook, then we're winning the game. All right, he's being aggressive. He puts the queen here, attack this pawn. Let's grab the rook first, and then afterwards I defend my pawn. What's the best way to defend my pawn? I think queen to d2 is good enough. Plan is still to roll this pawn up the board. Now we're ahead by 3 points. Ooh, wait, he's trying to take this pawn. Like, what if I just push, give him the pawn, push again, rook goes back, push again? I think it's worth a pawn. Like giving him a pawn so that way I'm this close to queening has to be good. Okay, now he's backpedaling his pieces. Let's keep pushing the pass pawn. Remember, guys, pass pawns must be pushed. Now, if I push, there's rook takes. So to support my push, I'm going to get my queen in the game so that way once I push, the rook is not able to take. But I'm assuming he's just going to block the pawn and stop me from pushing it. His knight here is really not in the game, though. Okay, so he's trying to get the knight back in the game. I'll still push my pass pawn. Like, I'm gonna push this pawn as far as it can go. Like, even if he puts the knight here, okay, maybe there's some sacrificial ideas I could set up. I need to get this rook in the game. So I may push this pawn and then put my rook on the c file or maybe the b file, depending on how the game goes. So knight comes in the game, we play b4. If he takes the pawn, I'm thinking rook to c1 and apply some pressure to the knight. He didn't take the pawn. He pushed instead. And I'm also trying to push, but then he just have knight takes. So I'm going to go with the rook to b1. Ooh, there's knight b5 though, just preventing me from pushing the pawn and attacking my pawn on a7. That's a nice move. Okay, he didn't find it. He played e6 instead, which did absolutely nothing. Now we're going to have two pass pawns rolling up the board. Like, I don't care if he takes this pawn. I'm going to push, force the knight to move, push, and then I'm going to win at least a rook here. Like, this is lost. He took a pawn, don't care. Pass pawns must be pushed. No good forward moves for the knight. If he puts the knight here, pass pawns must be pushed. And I think I'm going to win the rook and then eventually win the queen and then win the game. So knight moves out the way, pass pawns. Will he resign here? Okay, he sacrificed his rook instead. But here's what we're going to do. Before we take the rook, let's just queen. Now we have two queens on the board. He has to get out of check, and then I'm going to grab the rook. He blocks with the knight before I take the rook. What do? We have two attackers on the knight. Take the knight with check. Now he's forced to trade the queens. After I take the queen, that's when I take the rook. I mean, maybe he's going to resign here. Let's see. Take the queen. King now has to move. Then take the rook. And from here, we're just going for checkmate. He resigns. More rate opening against 1,000 level players. Stick around. Opponent is now 1,000. More rate opening coming your way. So when they play pawn e6, we play pawn b3, just protecting the pawn. We're preparing to put the bishop on this very nice diagonal. And then from here, we're going to play moves like e3, knight c3. And okay, now that we're seeing knight to c6, the whole idea of taking on d5 and then playing d4 may not be that good for us. Uh, Knight c3 hits the pawn. There is pawn to d4. And then after the trade, we don't really gain much. So I'll just go bishop e2 and castle for the time being. See what's happening. E castle, I'm also going to castle. Then he got his rook on the file. Now we're thinking about where to put the knight. So again, if I play knight c3, I have to be on the lookout for d4. I don't necessarily want to play d4 and block my bishop out. So I'm actually going to play d3, and then I may just put the knight on d2. And by the way, guys, this is also very similar to the Chevron engine setup that you guys could play as black, trying to play the Sicilian defense as well. So now that he puts his bishop on b7, I'll just start bringing more pieces in the game. Rooks needs files. Not yet a file since my pawn is in the way, but it's going to be a file. So rook to b8 guards the bishop. I'm going to play a3 because I don't want him to play knight to b4 since I may want to play. And look at this maneuver, by the way. Very, very cool maneuver. Moving the rook to c2 Why am I putting the rook on c2? Because I want to play queen to a1, and then my queen and my bishop is going to be forming a very nice battery along this diagonal. And then this rook, which is not doing anything, can also join the c file. And then once I take on d5, every single piece will then be active. Okay, he plays e5, which is not a terrible move. At first, it looked like he's not able to count, but if I take on e5, eventually he's going to take on a3 because my bishop has to stay guarding a3. So maybe he wants to play e4, which is fine. I think now is my time to take on d5. So because I don't want him to play e4 and chase away my knight. And there's many ways in which he could take. Like he could take with the knight, he could take with the queen, and regardless of the one that he chooses, I may just play queen to a1 and apply even more pressure to his pawn on e5. So he did decide to take with the knight. We swing the queen over to a1. Now we have three pieces attacking the pawn on e5. He only has one piece guarding it. Now he plays bishop f6, and all of a sudden he has one, two, three pieces guarding it. Okay, not bad. Now we're in the middle game. How do you know when you're in the middle game? When all the minor pieces are developed and the rooks are connected, or I like to say when the king and the rooks are the only pieces on the background. In this case, it's an exception because my queen is also active. So we need to follow the principle of the least active piece. What piece do I have that is not doing anything? This rook. Where do I put the rook? On the only file on the board. Now I'm creating a battery on his knight on c3, which was one of the main defenders of his pawn, which he immediately moved out of the way. And just like that, we got him in a tactic. Why did we get him in a tactic? Is it because now we have three pieces attacking e5 and he only has two pieces? No, it's because he puts his knight on the edge of the board, and knights on the rim is ugly and grim. So all I need to do now is hit him with pawn to b4. There's no forward move for the knight, and just like that, we're already winning the game. So he pulls the knight back to c6, and now it's just math. I mean, I'm about to lose a rook, but I'm going to get two pieces for it. Like, a knight and a bishop is better than a rook. It's just math. So we take on c6, the bishop takes back, we take, and we're now just going to be ahead by 2 points, which means trading from here is beneficial for us. He moves the queen, hitting the rook. I'll just pull my rook back. Like, I want to play moves like knight c4 and apply more pressure to e5, maybe knight e4 and attack the main defenders of e5, or he has two pieces guarding and I have three pieces attacking. So I can always just take on e5 if he does not try to add more defenders. Okay, he didn't try to add any more defenders. Instead, he put his rook on the file. We have three attackers. He has two defenders. That's just a free pawn, bro. I'm also attacking his queen. If he takes, I take back. G7 is going to be under attack. From here, we're just better, to be honest. Okay, he moves the queen. We need to bring more pieces in there. Okay, in fact, why not just fork him here? Like, it's not winning a piece, but because we're already ahead by so many points, like, I'm just trying to get some pieces off the board. Plus, I'm about to get the bishop off the board, and having the bishop here in a position like this is just so good for me. So let's eliminate that bishop. How will he recapture? Will he take with the queen? Will he take? He took with the pawn. Guy gone mad. He took with the pawn. What's this? All right, guys, now I'm going to show you guys what danger levels is. Notice the guy's attacking my knight and, okay, never mind. Like, I wanted to play bishop here, but he's just going to play. Actually, I don't care. Let's just do it. Because if he plays f5 and I pull the bishop back, the pawn is pinned anyways, and there's a lot of ideas where I play e4, apply pressure to the pin pawn, also attack the knight. He did play f5. Let's pull the bishop back. Then he played f6. All of a sudden, this guy's playing aggressive. It's fine, though. Let's just pull the knight out the way. Still, I want to play e4. There's also knight d4, which is just so strong. Okay. There was rook c6, but there's no more rook c6. If I play knight d4, then I could go rook c6. Moving the king does not help. I'm already attacking the pawn once. Now I'm just going to attack the queen, apply more pressure to the pawn. That's more material for us. Okay, queen moves out the way. Queen and the king is on the same line. Oh, I always keep forgetting that I only have one rook. But let's just grab the... No, actually, the threat is better than the execution. I'll take with the knight and keep the bishop on the same line as the queen. He saw that, move the queen out the way. He is applying pressure to this pawn, but it does not work if I attack the knight, because if he takes my pawn, he loses his knight. In addition to that, I have two pieces attacking f6. The knight was one of the main defenders. If he moves the knight, he loses f6. I'm about to get forked, though. I don't think I care, especially since I'm able to take on c7 with check. And then after he moves his king out the way, now we're going to be going for some checkmates, like bishop takes pawn. We're going for mate, by the way, guys. His rook is hanging. He takes with check, he's trading. Who cares? I'm ahead by 5 points. Trade all you want, bro. Like, if I'm able to get my queen on G7, that's gonna be me. That's what I'm trying to do here. So if I check it, ooh, tactic alert, tactic alert. This is checkmate in two moves. We simply check him here. The king has to move to G8, and that's gonna be a checkmate. So we check, king has to go here, and that's just a checkmate. More Reti Opening against 1100 players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 1100, playing some more Reti Opening. Like anytime they play D5, it's always good to play C4. And knight f6 is not one of those recommended moves because, like, once I take on d5 here, it looks like it's just a normal pawn trade, but nah. Because if he takes with the knight, he's moving the same piece more than once in the opening. If he takes with the queen, he's moving the same piece more than once in the opening. And I'll still force him to move the same piece more than once. So he decided just not to take. All right, there's knight c3. If knight takes, there's e4. After knight takes, pawn takes, there's bishop takes. Knight c3, knight takes. Okay, bishop f5 is not a bad move then. But that's fine. I think from here I just need to develop. Let's just develop my knight to c3. I'm expecting him to take. Ooh, ooh, pawn c6. He's giving me another pawn, so that way he gains a lead in development. That's not bad. But let's see how well he's gonna use his lead in development though. Like he already has one, two, three active pieces. His queen is active, his rook is ready to go on the file. This cannot be bad for black. But let me ensure that I have a pawn in the center of the board. Now he plays e6. How do I develop here? Like I don't think I want to go b3, bishop b2 anymore. But still, if he pins and apply pressure, that's going to be an issue. So I'm going to purposely just lock my bishop in for the time being, knowing that eventually I'll be able to play e4. And because I'm ahead by a piece, like the more I trade, for example, bishop to d3, or not ahead by a piece, I'm ahead by a pawn. And the more I trade, the better it is going to be for me, anyways. So if he does not use his lead in development the right way, then I'm just going to be doing fine. That was a very nice move. That was such a nice move because I can't play bishop to d2 anymore, which means maybe I have to play queen c2. But now if he takes, I have to move the queen again, and then he's also able to play rook c8 and put his rook on the same line as my queen. Okay, so he's trading. Let's just take back. Knight e4 is not a bad move because if I takes, I can't take back due to the fork. But if he plays knight e4, I may just play bishop to d2. And remember, all the trades are good for us here, guys. So he castle his king, I castle my king. My king is safe. So he still has a nice lead in development. He's putting his rook on the same line as my queen. Let's see. I think I'm just gonna, because I think he wants to play e5. A3 takes, e5 is a move, but that's fine. I'll just kick the bishop. We do not want to allow any pieces on our half of the board. If he gives up the bishop, then that's good for us, especially once he plays e5. He will be threatening a fork. I'll just move the queen. Like once he does not get some crazy attacks, then I'm fine because at the end of the day, I'm ahead by a pawn. So let's see what he's going to get from this. He's in the middle game. I'm still coming out of the opening, but let's see. Backside, he played e5. I can't touch this. Oh, now if I play here, can he fork? The answer is no. If I play here, the bishop is now under attack. And if takes, bishop takes it, the queen. Queen has to move. It's fine. I think it's fine. Let's just go bishop here. Now the bishop is under attack. There's no forks. Now he has to do something about the bishop. The thing though is, if he takes, I can't play pawn take due to the fork. But I can play bishop takes and attack his queen. And if he forks, I take his queen. He takes my queen. I'm happy. Grab the rook. I'm winning the game. So after takes, queen move, it gives me time to defend, which is good enough. So takes, I take, hit the queen. Queen now has to move. Oh no, bro. Oh no. Oh no. He was playing so well, bro. What's this? Oh no. It's a queen, bro. Yo, you see how good this guy was playing at 1100? But we saw a level one blunder. I'm assuming he's going to resign here, right? He's offering me a draw. Come on, bro. After you blunder your queen, have some respect. He resigns. More Reti Opening against 1200 level players. Stick around. Opponent is now 1200. Playing some more Reti Opening. So we see d5. Now we're going to go with c4. That's the idea. Not expecting him to take the pawn, but if they do take the pawn, e3 is what we're going to play. Now, if they do not try to defend the pawn or the center with a pawn, we take the pawn. Because if they take with the queen, that's a tempo on the queen. And if they take with the knight, e4. is a tempo on the knight. So this is basically what we want. If we have more than one, or if we have more pawns in the center than the amount of pawns the opponent has in the center, then we're just gonna have a very nice center. Knight goes back, we play d4, and I mean this is good for us. Okay, now he plays e6, which is blocking out his bishop. Let's just keep developing though. Okay, he's pinning my knight. I think I just need to focus on getting my king out the center of the board. So let's just keep developing. And then I'm just going to simply castle. Very simple chess. He develops the knight. Two attackers on my pawn on d4. We don't care. Let's just castle the king. And the reason why we don't care is if he decides to take the pawn on d4, I take back. The queen is not able to take. But if the queen does take, we hit him with a discovered attack on b5. And then we simply win the queen. Oh my lord, he took the free pawn. Bro got greedy. Let's just take here. Will he take on d4? Or will he be like, oh shoot, I'm not able to take back? Yeah, maybe he just knows that he's not able to take back. So he just castled the king. And okay, let's play e5 here. I'm gonna trick him again. Because now once I play e5, if he takes on d4, bishop takes h7 is still winning the pawn. Or the queen. So he moves the king out the way. You see, he really, really wants to take my knight. But now I'm going to move my knight out the way, bro. So I'm now just ahead by a piece. He just donated a knight. All right, another knight jumps in. He's applying pressure to my knight twice. I need to finish my development, but knight g5 could start a nice attack on the king. Knight g5, there's h6 though. Let's just go queen c2. I'm applying pressure to h7 twice. I'm also defending my knight. If he takes, I take with the pawn, hit the bishop. But I'm trying to find what's the best square for this bishop. Maybe just g5, since it could gain a tempo on his queen. Okay, he saw that, played g6, fair enough. Let's develop the bishop, gain some tempo on his queen. Keep in mind that we're ahead in material, so we do not mind trading here. Bishop goes back, and now we start the trades. Let's first take the bishop. If he takes with the queen, I could take on d5. Maybe I'm just going to take on d5 though. Or maybe I won't. Like, one reason I may not take on d5 is because once I take back, his bishop gets developed. Now I notice that his f6 square is weak. Notice how he has dark square weaknesses? Okay, first let's put the rook on the file. I need all my pieces on the game. But my plan from here is to play knight e4, knight f6. That's going to be a very strong knight. And it's going to be applying pressure to his focal point on h7. Okay, saw that, put the bishop in the way. Let's go knight e4, continuing with the plan. Maybe he's going to go bishop c6. That's not a bad diagonal for the bishop. F5. Can't be good though, bro. Because I'm able to en passant hit the knight. My knight covers f6. Now he just has to move this out the way. Whoa, knight is all the way on the edge of the board. All right, let's just go bishop c4 because now I'm pinning his bishop. And if he takes and I take, okay, maybe he's able to take. But my plan is to take on e6. If I take on e6, the bishop is not gonna be able to take back. And in a lot of cases, I'm also threatening to play knight e5, and that could apply even more pressure to the bishop. So he saw that, moved the queen out the way. But look at this. The queen and the knight is in a pawn for pattern. So I'm going to play the move knight e5. I know I'm attacking the bishop. But if he uses the time to save the bishop, then he's forked with pawn to f7. Okay, that was... He took the pawn, but it doesn't work. I'm assuming he's saying the knight guards the pawn, or the bishop, but all I need to do is eliminate the knight. And once I eliminate the knight, now I have two attackers on d7, and he only has the queen guarding it, assuming he's going to take my knight. He didn't take the knight, which means he lost a piece and still allows me to take even more material. Now I'm ahead by 8 old points, 3 pieces. Okay, rook moves out the way. Let's get the other rook in the game. I need all my pieces to be active. Okay, he's also getting his rook in the game. But now I'm going to go queen c3, putting my queen on the same line as his king. Now we're threatening all sorts of discovered attacks. Now I want you guys to look on my position. Notice how I have every single piece active. Whenever you have every single piece active, that's how you're going to notice that there's going to be tactics. If all your, like you, there's no way all your pieces are going to be active and there's no tactics. For example, look at this. He moved his king off the same line as my queen, but he puts his king on the same line as my bishop. The thing is, I'm attacking this once, he's guarding it once. but my rook is also attacking it through the x3. So here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to hit him with this very nice move, knight c3. Knight c3 is already a fork. The thing is, if he takes my knight, now we're able to take with the rook, hit the queen, and then we're threatening discovered attacks, which means he has to lose his queen. Or I could just take on e6 with check, then take, and I'm attacking his queen. Like everything is just losing here. He didn't even take, bro. At least take the knight. Now we take with check. He resigns. More Reti opening against 1300 level players. Stick around. Opponent is now 1300. Let's play some more Reti opening. Okay, now we're seeing d4. Whenever they play like this, I like to play e3. If they ever take, we take with the f pawn. Play d4. We have very good control over the center. Now, knight c6 is a move. If I takes knight takes, that's not too bad for him. I think I'm able to play b4 here because if I play b4 knight takes, I play knight takes and I have the pawns in the center of the board. That's one way to do it. Oh, or I could just take. Like once the knight takes, I'm just gonna develop, bro. Like let's just wait. It's a bit tricky. I don't want to develop and allow bishop g4, so I'm gonna take first, then develop. Now his queen is out a bit too early as well, so I'm gonna try to use that against him. But I think I have to finish my development first. Like his queen is on a compromised square, and eventually my plan is to play d3 followed by bishop e3, and then once I play d4, I have very good central control. So he develops his knight, I go d3. Plan is to go bishop e3, gain the tempo on that queen. He's developing, I'm developing. Only thing is, e now has to move that queen again. All right, queen moves out the way. I mean, it's definitely a move, but I want to attack that queen again. Like, what if I go bishop e2, allow him to take on g2, then go bishop f3, hit the queen? Because the moment he moves the queen, we take on b6 or b7, and that's not bad for us. Like, the rook now has to move, a7 is eventually going to be hanging. It's not bad at all. Let's go for that. And we're also developing our pieces. Notice what I'm doing. I'm developing. Now, while I'm developing, he's making a bunch of queen moves. So that can't be very good for him. Yeah, he's going for it. Let's go bishop f3, hit the queen. I'm also protecting my rook. There is queen g6 though, and eventually my d pawn is going to be under attack. So it's not completely clear, but I'm sure white is doing fine here. Okay, he puts the queen on h3 instead. Let's continue with the plan. Grab the pawn, force the rook to move. I'm expecting rook to b8. But then I'm just gonna go bishop to c6 and check the king because my pawn on b2 is hanging, his pawn on a7 is hanging. Maybe it's gonna be a case where I lose b2, he lose a7, but then I have a pass pawn rolling up the board. Queen a4 doesn't do much. If I takes, there's rook takes. What I'm gonna do though is I'm just gonna take on d7 and then just move my queen to protect the pawn. Now the question is, where do we put the queen? I think e2 or d2 is fine. I don't think it makes a huge difference. Now I'm protecting this pawn. I may just castle, and his a pawn is still gonna be under attack. Okay, so he moves his rook over to a8, and already this should be an uncomfortable scenario for black because once I play knight d5, I'm automatically threatening to take on c7. Remember, we find these by looking for moves where we put pieces on the opponent's half of the board. There's not comfortable ways to defend this pawn. For example, if he has to play king to d8, then there goes his right to castle, and then I'm just going to castle my king. Okay, so instead he counterattacks my rook because if I take with check and he moves the king and I take his rook, he takes my rook with check and I lose two rooks. But I'm just gonna simply castle my king. Like now I'd save my rook. He still has to solve this problem. And I think king to d8 is like the only thing that does not just immediately lose. Like what if he plays king d8? Do I have bishop f4? Since if he plays e5, I'm able to take. Maybe I'm not gonna play bishop f4. Like a simple rook to g1 should be good enough. Or maybe rook dg1, rook g3. So he puts this rook to guard c7. But the issue with this is that rook was protecting a very important pawn on a7. So wait, let's think about it first. Because if I take, he hits the knight. Takes, he hits the knight. I move the knight. He puts the rook back. Yeah, it's fine. Because if he attacks the knight and I put the knight on c3, I'm protecting a2. Like once I'm not losing a2, I'm fine. Now I'm just ahead in material. I'm now in the middle game playing chess. My opponent is still trying to get out of the opening. So pawn c6 hits the knight. He didn't even use the e pawn. Bro, you need to develop. All right. If I'm able to get my knight here, that would be good. Knight here hits the queen. It's not really good. Doesn't trap the queen. Queen goes here. Bishop goes back. Okay, it's actually not bad. Let's go with knight f4 because it hits the queen. The only safe square for the queen is g5, and then I get to pull my bishop back, guard the knight, put the bishop on the same line as the queen, and then I can just play king b1, and then this pawn is safe. Still, I'm gonna have to put some work into win this game, but I'm just better here. So queen hits the knight, I guard the knight, break the pin. Now there's some discovered attacking possibilities. So maybe he has to move the queen again. Okay, he did move the queen again, and he's starting some attack. All right, so let's see. There's king b1, but he's gonna play rook a8, and then I'm gonna be forced to play a3. The bishop is gonna want to come in with some sacrifices, so we need to be very careful at this point. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play immediate a3. And I mean, if I get the chance to like trade the queens off the board now, I'm gonna do it because I think he's gonna want to start some attack, especially since he's down by the pawn. Okay, knight joins the game. Pawn to b4 is not a fork because he takes with check. Knight b3 check is an idea. It's not an idea that I'm afraid of. If queen to d2, then I'm forked. So that I have to be on the lookout for. There is pawn to d4, and if he checks, king to b1, and I'm safe. Or I may just bring some more pieces over in the game. Nah, let's just hit the knight. He doesn't really have anything. Knight b3, I move the king. The queen and the knight is on my half of the board, but there's nothing there. Okay, so he did went for the check. I mean, there's king c2, but queen a4 is a bit annoying. Let's just go king b1. I don't think the attack that he's trying to do here is going to work. Because he's trying to attack on the flank, I have some plans of trying to counterattack in the center. But the moment I play c5, it also opens the line for the rook. So he puts the rook on the same line as my king. Not afraid, by the way. Really not afraid. Like, if he sacked the queen, then he's sacking a queen. So I'm just not afraid. Let's go with d5. Someone is attacking you on the flank. You want to counterattack in the center of the board. And for some reason, he's just not trying to get these pieces in the game. Okay, he took. Rook takes is an idea, but I need to get my knight in the game. I need as many pieces in the game as possible. This is the only piece that is not doing anything, and I'm planning on getting that piece in the game very soon. Maybe rook e1 or rook g1. I like rook e1 though, and then apply some pressure to e7. Now he plays e6. I'm not afraid though. It's not like he's able to take my knight, but he is able to take on a3. And if he takes on a3, then the discovered attack is going to start coming in. Like, what if I'm able to go bishop b5, rook goes here, I check, king has to go here? God, man, that really does not work, bro. Or I could go queen here. Nah, that doesn't work either. What can I do? He's going to sack the bishop on the next turn. Bishop here takes, queen takes. Maybe queen d3, rook e1. If he takes, he's losing. Rook e1, he is able to sack the bishop, though. We don't want him to sack that bishop. Or if he has to sack the bishop, I need to at least try to trade something off the board. Okay, let's just do this. Let's just play bishop f4, hit the rook. If he chooses to sack the bishop, we don't take the bishop, we take the rook. And me playing bishop f4, since my queen is on the same line as his king, he's not able to take my knight. So depending on where he puts his king, he could also be getting checkmated or his rook because knight c7 check is that could be a very nice move. Okay, that's definitely the square for the rook. One last trick. Queen here. Nah, he's gonna take though. He's gonna take. I want to be able to get my queen here. Like check, rook takes. How does this work? Bishop g5 maybe? Let's try bishop g5. That's my last try. Backside, it doesn't work. Shoot, it doesn't work. Shoot. I wanted to check and then check here. Oh, maybe it does work. Because if rook takes, that's mate, and if queen takes, I win the queen. If he plays f6, I take here. He did sack the bishop. I think we got him, guys. I think we got him. He wants me to take and then use the discovered attack, but we check him here. And the next move is going to be rook to d8, regardless of what he plays. If he takes with the rook, that's mate. So he has to take with the queen. And once he takes with the queen, we check him here. Queen has to take. We grab the queen. Should have been a tactic alert. And if he takes my bishop, maybe I take his bishop because I don't see any discover. Okay, he does have discovered attacks. Very nice tactic, by the way. Very, very nice tactic. Now we check here. He has to sack the queen. Then we take here. And okay, once he takes, he's ahead in material. But how do I do this? My time is also running out. Let's see. That doesn't work. Maybe I should check him here and then take. I just wanted to put my queen somewhere where I know the discovered attack is not going to win the queen. Basically, what is happening is two rooks versus the queen. Okay, let's just move out the way. Knight here is a strong move, comes with threats of rook check. If he plays knight takes, I go queen here, hit the knight. If he checks, I'm not going to sack, I'm just going to go back because I'm going to be threatening the knight. Now, G7 is also hanging, and I need to get this rook in the game. I have 47 seconds on the clock, though, so we need to lock in. Maybe he should just pull the knight back. And technically, the position is equal because guy has 4 pawns. I only have 3. Okay, he guards the knight. What do I do? Apply more pressure to the knight. Very good. If he checks, then I suck. Very good. Maybe he's just going to defend the knight, but then I start grabbing pawns. Then I'll be winning. Very good. Now I'm ahead by a point. If he moves the knight, trading should be good. And that pawn is also hanging as well. Okay, knight goes back. Let's just trade. That's what we do when we're winning. Grab some more pawns. Now we're ahead by 2 points. Check doesn't work. Knight moves. Okay, he wants to check. I have 25 seconds on the clock. I'm trying to activate my king as best as I possibly can. It's going to reach a point where I need to start rolling my pawn up the board. This is weird, bro. Got him. Got him. Check the king, hit the knight, win the game. All right, this was close. I'm just going to sacrifice the queen because now I have 2 pass pawns rolling up the board. There's no way in which he's going to be able to prevent both of them. Now we have the queen, and this is just completely winning. I mean, for 1300, though, this guy played really well, but this is just going to be a checkmate, bro. Very, very good game. Is he going to resign here? Nah, he moves, and that's just a checkmate. More Reti Opening against 1400 level players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 1400. Yes, more Reti Opening coming your way. Reti is like one of the most flexible openings. Like you can transpose it in almost all of the openings. It can be transposed into English. Queen's Gambit. Now he plays d5. We want to play c4. It's always good to meet d5 with c4. We don't care if they take, by the way, because e3 simply wins back the pawn. Okay, now we're seeing d4. Whenever they play d4, he's basically just trying to gain some more space in the center. We're not going to have any of that, though. Let's just play e3 and get rid of this pawn. Like, if he takes and we take back, then we play pawn to d4, and we're going to be the one with all the central control. But now that he played this move, pawn to c5, there's a lot of different ways in which I could play. Like, I could take on d4 and then play d6 and transpose it into a Benoni, or I could actually play b4. Now it looks like a reverse Benka gambit, and I'm playing with the white pieces. So already this is good for us, and we don't mind if he takes this pawn because he's going to lose this pawn. And if he takes on e3 first, we take with the f pawn, and then if he takes on b4, we play d4, and then we have some very good control over the center of the board. Okay, he's going for it. Let's take with the f pawn. Will he take this? And then after he takes, we play d4. So basically what is happening here is we are down by a pawn, but in terms of development, all the guy's pieces are on the background. Like my knight is developed, my bishop is ready to move. I have very good control over the center of the board. This is not going to be a hard game for us to play. Okay, he's pinning my knight, which we really do not care. Let's just go bishop b2, finishing development. Knight d2 is coming, maybe bishop d3, h3 to kick the bishop. Let's see. Okay, he's developing. Let's continue with my development as well. And by the way, queen a4 followed by queen takes can win back the pawn. Like if I really want to win back the pawn, but I don't really need the pawn. Now he plays e6. That's not possible anymore because the bishop guards the pawn. But let's just keep developing here. Already all 4 of my minor pieces are developed. So once I castle my king and move my queen, my development is going to be complete. I'm going to be in the middle game while he's going to just be coming out of the opening. All right, he develops the knight. I mean, he's developing. Let's get the king out the center of the board. Mm. Already I'm noticing his pieces are in a pawn fork pattern. So if I play e4, the plan is to play e5. If he plays e5, there's d5. There's no knight takes, by the way, because I take. And if he sack his bishop, I just take. So I'm chilling there. So let's go ahead and play e4. You notice that the type of central control that I have right here. I think he needs to play e5, though. E5 wouldn't be a terrible move to play. Because he needs to at least have one of the pawns in the center. Like if he does something weird, like pull the bishop back and allow me to play e5, then he's just gonna lose this game. Yeah. Or something like that is also not good because I'm still able to play. Okay, do I play d5 and win this pawn? Nah, let's just play e5 because I don't want to allow any knight e5 ideas. Now my knight could also get access to the e4 square. Like down by a pawn, but the amount of central control and development that I have here, Has to be studied. Okay, he pulls the bishop back. There's h3, but I'm assuming he's gonna pull back. I want to start applying pressure to f7. Pawn d5, I want to play, but I don't want to lose my e pawn in the process. Actually, let's just play h3. Just because the bishop is on our half of the board and we know about the principle of neutralization, let's just get the bishop out of our half. Now I'm expecting him to go back to h5. Like, if he gives up that bishop for the knight, then he's just just begging me to lose this game. Oh, come on, bro. Lock in. This guy doing? Now we take with the queen because now I'm threatening to win the pawn on f7 and that's mate. The question is, will he castle into the line of my pieces? Because that's going to start a deadly attack on his king. Oof, he did castle. Wow. Wow. Queen e4, already target the focal point. Pawn to g6, and then he has dark square weaknesses. There's queen h5, pawn g6 gives a tempo though, that's the thing. I really don't want to rush this. There's three pieces targeting the e-pawn, so it's very hard to push. Maybe I should just get my last piece in the game. I'm also thinking about just centralizing my knight. Can't be bad. Let's just centralize the knight. It can't be bad to central. Wait, did I just blunder? Bishop takes? Nah. Knight takes. And if takes, knight takes, that's a fork. What the heck? I think bishop takes e5 is a very strong move. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, bro. Does it work though? Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, knight takes, queen here. If queen takes, I take the knight, and if knight takes, I pin the knight. So it does not work. It actually doesn't work. I mean, there's also a check here. He didn't do it though, but it was weird. Pawn f6 is weakening e6. If queen g4, that's a fork. Let's just take though, because I want my bishop to be more active anyways. He took with the knight. If I takes, rook takes, then I play queen e4. And then h7 is going to be hanging. There's d5 ideas which attacks the rook. Or maybe he's going to play queen takes since I'm attacking or he's ahead by a pawn and he wants to trade the pieces off the board. But that should not work either, I'm assuming. Like, I'm going to play queen e4 next move regardless of what he does. Like, we know about focal points, right? Okay, he did take with the queen. Now we go queen e4. I'm targeting the queen. I'm threatening the h7 pawn, which would lead to a checkmate. So now he needs to put his queen on h6 because putting the queen on h6, it defends both e6 and h7 at the same time. The funny thing is if he puts his queen on h6, then it's a tactic alert as well. He did find the move, but what I'm noticing is the queen is massively overworked guarding two very important pawns. So if I'm able to find a way to chase away that queen, it's good for us. And that's why. Wait, does it work though? Because if I go bishop c1, he takes with check, that's annoying. If I take first, his rook gets the file, and bishop c1, there's bishop f4. So I do not think it works. What if I play d5, hit the knight? D5 hits the knight, takes, knight has to move. And I'm not really seeing many good scores for the knight, especially since my dark squared bishop is finally entering the game. I'm still down by a pawn, by the way, guys, but I have the bishop here. I have the central control. I have the attack. Like, I'm very satisfied here. I'm allowing a check, but it's just a check. I'll just move my king out of the way. Okay, he took, we take back, hit the knight. It's also a pass pawn, by the way, but it's also an isolated pawn. Another thing is I can always win back this pawn if I really wanted my pawn back. Because the moment he moves the knight, I could just grab. Actually, nah, because there's a check here, picks up the bishop. Like, we have to be careful. That I was not expecting. I mean, he's really just helping me to get my last piece in the game. Now, again, I talk about this a lot, guys. Whenever you're going to do rook trades like this, it's not F rook for F rook because if his F rook disappears, my A rook disappears. So it's basically F rook for A rook. And basically, my F rook is now on the file and his A rook is just chilling over there. If you look on every one of my pieces, I do not have a bad piece. Now I can think about bishop c1 hits the queen because the queen is the main defender of h7. So he can't move his queen too far away where it leaves h7 hanging. Okay, now he puts his knight on the edge of the board. Is this a tactic alert, bro? Yo, is this a tactic alert? Nah. Like, I'm thinking about pushing d6. If the queen takes, that's mates. If the bishop takes, it no longer guards the knight. I check the king move, I grab the bishop, but my bishop will also be unprotected. So there's check king over queen takes, and then my rook is going to be under attack. So that doesn't work. I'll just continue with my attack though. Like, bishop c1, there's queen h5. Yeah, let's just go with bishop c1 because now I think he has to play queen h5. I'm thinking about playing rook f5. I may play rook f5 just to repeat the position, and then I play something like queen e6. Now, one thing I'm noticing is his back rank is also weak. So if there's any tactic that I could do to deflect his rook from the back rank, then he could also be getting checkmated. So I play rook f5, hit the queen. He checks, I block with the rook. He goes back with the queen, then I check. Should I do that? Yeah, let's just do that. He also has no time on the clock. So with 30 seconds on the clock, he's also probably going to be losing on time. If you guys saw the game that I played against Arjun, it's exactly something like this he did against me. Like, I knew that the position is going to be repeated, but I burned so much time off the clock. Then I check him on e6. All right, now he has to play king to h8. Then I'm going to be able to push the pawn, hit the bishop. I'm expecting bishop check. At that point, I'm able to just get out of check. Maybe pawn to g4 at that point, hit the queen. He has 0.01 seconds on the clock. So it doesn't really matter what my next move is. He lost on time. So we're just going to play g4, hit the queen, and he lost on. Oh, it's on pre-move. And he lost on time. More Reti opening against 1500 level players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 1500. We're going to be playing some more Reti opening with knight f3. They play d5. We go c4. d6. Okay, let's continue with b3. Typical Reti stuff we're seeing here. Knight f6, we go bishop b2. And from here, I'm just trying to finish my development. As you guys could see, we have two more minor pieces that needs to leave the back rank. We have the king in the center that needs to be castled. That's all. Bishop f5, he's developing quite well. Let's go e3. Plan is to go bishop e2 and castle here. E6. I mean, the guy's really developing his pieces without having any bad pieces. Notice how he didn't leave his bishop on c8. He got his bishop outside of the pawn chain. But let me get my king out the center of the board. And after he castle, I think I'm going to turn this position into a hedgehog type setup where I take on d5, play d3, go knight d2, and develop from there. So he takes back, we go d3 to not allow any knight to easily jump in to my e4 square. And I'm also not playing d4 because I don't want to be blocking out my bishop. From here, the plan is to go knight d2 and finish my development. Okay, he's also developing. Now, all our minor pieces are developed and both our king is castled. Like, nobody broke any principles so far. Like, I think we're both just playing some decent chess. Um, I need to get my major pieces in the game. He also needs to get his major pieces in the game. My plan from here is to play a3 to prevent any knight b4, get my rook on the file, play rook to c2, so let's do that, and then play queen a1, rook c1, and then every single piece is going to be doing something. See, he's getting his rook in the game. And here I'm going to play b4 first, just to leave the pawn there because I didn't really want him to play a5 so that way my pawn is not able to move. Now I have a lot of ideas of playing b5, but still I want to go rook c1 and finish getting my major pieces in the game. No, I want you guys to notice how this guy's playing at the 1500 level. It's really not that difficult. Like, I have some students who are like 800, 700, and they make it so difficult. Like, literally, you have four minor pieces, just move them and then castle the king. Now I'm going to start moving my major pieces. Like, doing this while not blundering, it shouldn't be hard to not be a four-digit chess player. Okay, he's connecting his rooks, and I'm going to find a more clever way to connect my. Actually, I think he wants to play e5. It's not like I can prevent it, to be honest. So let's just continue with the plan. Rook c2. Plan is to double up the rooks on the c file and move my queen on a1 to apply some pressure on the e5 square. He moves the bishop again. Let's continue with the plan. Queen a1. I mean, he's still able to play e5 since my bishop is unprotected. He has a piece on my half of the board, so definitely considering playing moves like a3, chasing that bishop out. That I wasn't expecting. Wasn't expecting him to just give up the bishop for the knight without me even try to chase it away. Now he's not able to play e5 since I have so much pressure on e5. It's very hard to move this knight since I'll take on g7. Very simple plan from here, by the way. Rook to c1, and then all my pieces are going to be active. Okay, bishop goes back. Not sure why. Okay, maybe he just wants to play e5. Pawn push. Should I just jump into e5? Yeah, let's just jump into e5 so that way he's not able to play e5. My rook is unprotected, but well, he's also not able to take my knight. I was about to say I was going to take it the queen, but if he takes my knight, I'll just take his rook. Queen goes back. Another move that I'm not sure. I think he's just not sure what the plan is here. And this is the issue with intermediate play. Like they get out of the opening perfectly, but then they don't know how to formulate a plan. Anyways, queen goes back. We simply apply more pressure to the knight. Now I have one, two, three pieces hitting that knight. He has two defenders. So now he needs to add more defense to the knight. Come on, bro. Learn to count or something. Add some defense to the knight, man. That's just a pawn. Like, that's just a pawn. One, two, three attackers. I'll take the pawn. And then once he take, I'll just take back with the rook. Just like that, we won a pawn because of his inability to come up with a plan. Okay, now we grab the pawn, hit the bishop, hit the rook. I'm expecting him to trade here. And then once I take, I hit the bishop. Maybe at that point, he goes queen to b7. Guard the bishop, hit my rook. Who knows? Okay, he did trade. Now we hit the bishop. All right. Bishop goes back. Why is that not a pawn, though? That's a pawn, brody. Now I'm just ahead by two pawns. Now I have a very clear plan. I have connected past pawns. I'll simply just start rolling them up the board. Hey, he got the chance to play e5. Sure, it's a bit too late. Let's put the rook back on the file. And maybe I go b5 from there. I'm thinking about playing d4, by the way. Like, maybe my bishop has done its job on this diagonal. But the moment I play d4, this becomes a bad bishop. I think I just need to figure out a way to start rolling my queenside pawns up the board. Yeah, he's really trying to get my bishop out the game. Like, what he wants to do is if I take stakes, then he's going to take my bishop. I'm still going to take though, because his pawn is just going to be super weak. I'm just going to pull my bishop back to f1. Now my king is very safe. There's no checkmates that I'm worried about. My rook is unprotected though, so I need to keep that in mind. He moves his queen, and from here, that's just a free pawn. Again, the guy don't know how to counter. I have two attackers. He has one defenders. Let's just take the free pawn. That was a trick. That was a trick. He's threatening a checkmate that I'm not going to be falling for. So let's play g3 to not get checkmated. And now my king could run, so my back rank is fine. I could also play bishop g2 in the future as well. My rook is unprotected though, so it's slightly uncomfortable. But since my unprotected rook is the only weakness in the position, it's not like there's going to be a tactic there. Like usually a tactic will happen when there's more than one weaknesses in the position. Queen moves out the way. His time is also running out, so we're expecting the blunders to roll in. That was just a drawback mistake. That is a bishop. And I'm also expecting that g4, threatening another very obvious checkmate, which I'll just play h3 to defend against. Knight goes back. That's a free pawn. Applying some pressure to the knight. I'm just playing until his time runs out here. Like, I'm ahead by 6. He has no time. Maybe he's going to resign, but maybe he's just going to let the time run out. Okay, queen moves. Let's trade. We're ahead in material. Oh no, my queen. He has no time. Oh no, my rook. And he lost on time. Our opponent is now 1600. Let's play some more Reti opening. Okay, he's also playing knight f6, but let's just go ahead and go with c4 here. And if we see g6, which is what he did, we play... Okay, the funny thing about this is I can actually play b4 in this position and then bishop to b2. I've seen a lot of players done it, but I don't really understand why it's so strong. But let's go ahead and play b4. It's kind of like a very cool way to fianchetto the bishop. It's like instead of playing b3, we play b4. But I've seen players just play a5 here. Like, I think my idea is to gain as much space as possible on the queen side. So bg7, we go bg2. Okay, king is castled. Let's play e3. We need to finish our development here, though. Once they play pawn to d5, for one, I don't have to react to it. Two, I can play c5, but I don't think I want to react to it. Like, or I could take knight take and then just trade, which is fine, but I don't really have to react to it. I think it's okay if I just develop here. All right, it's kind of uncomfortable just having the pawn there and it's unprotected. So let's just play a3 first to protect the pawn and see what's happening. If he takes, he's helping my development. Now he plays b6, which means he may want to fianchetto the other bishop. Maybe I'm just gonna take, to be honest. Like, knight, let's just take, because I want to play knight c3. It blocks out my bishop. If he decides to take with the knight, at least I can trade first, and then eventually my knight could go here. All right, so king takes. Let's go queen c2 first, apply pressure here. And if I play knight c2 and he takes, like, I don't have to immediately trade the queen since I haven't gained anything just yet. Okay, he just moves the king out of the way. He's probably assuming that I'm trying to check his king, which in a lot of different variations I could. But I'm actually just trying to develop and castle. Let's just develop the bishop, get the king out the center of the board, and then from here we decide where to develop the knight. I'm also thinking about playing rook fc1 and apply some pressure to his c7 pawn. Also, it's not okay if I play d4. All right, I think he wants to put something on e4 because why would he pull his knight back to f6 like that? It doesn't scare me too much though. Let's continue with the plan. Let's target his pawn on c7 first. Like if he plays bishop to e4, hit the queen. I mean, that's just a pawn. So wait, what is he gonna play to not lose this pawn? c6 and block out his bishop? Knight a6. That's a removing the guard tactic. Knight d5. Maybe I have knight c3 or even e4. Okay, maybe knight d5 is not too bad. Okay, he plays knight d7, and I guess we're just gonna be playing ahead by a pawn. Wait. If I takes, there's rook c8, bro. Because my rook is unprotected. Whoa, that was nice, bro. That was nice defense. Let's just play d4 then. Let's try to control the center, preventing e5, making c5 a bit uncomfortable. And if I can play moves like knight d2 to b3, that would be good. Bishop to e4 is definitely a move here, though, because there's no d3. Now he decides to defend the pawn. All right, pawn push takes, rook takes. I do not want to allow that. Question is, can I defend it? I can't. Let's just move the queen out the way then. Apply some pressure through the x-ray to his bishop on b7. So that way, if he push and I take, he's not able to take back because he loses the bishop. The thing about this is, okay, he took, I'm just going to take, bro. Like, come on. Like, oh, but he's able to take here first. And then I take, and then he takes back. I thought I was onto something. All right, how do I do this? I must finish my development. If I take, it's good for him. I can push though. If I push, there's knight up, then there's e4. Let's just play d5. So that way his pawn on c5 becomes a weak pawn. It's a pass pawn, but it's also a weak isolated pawn. So if he plays knight to b6, apply pressure, there's e4. But I really need to finish my develop. Actually, if he plays knight b6, I'll just play knight c3. Queen b6. The guy's just trying to trade queens, and I don't see the purpose of trading queens right now because I haven't gotten anything. I have no advantage or anything. Like if I knight takes, that's good for him. Let's just move the queen out the way for the time being. Maybe put the queen on d2 to add some more support to d5, and then knight c3 with the idea of playing rook to b1 to attack his queen. He's playing some good chess though. He's playing some moves that I'm not seeing. Look at that. Pawn c5 is also good because now he wants to play knight c5 to b3, and I can't play knight d2 because I put the queen on the square. Okay, knight here, hit the queen, forks. Nah, that's a triple fork. I can't allow that. Okay, maybe I just put my queen on the wrong square. It's fine. Maybe my queen belonged on d2, on c2. So now if he, oh my god, bro. Well, if he plays knight here, maybe I'm able to take. So that's not too bad. But once I play knight d2, finally finishing my development, then I should be okay. Knight e5. What the Yo, how's this guy playing so well? If I move my bishop, I lose this pawn. Bishop back, that's a pawn, so I have to just develop. Oh, but then he's able to eliminate the pawn and then take this. So if he takes, I have to play. Yeah, I think I'm getting outplayed here, guys. I think I'm getting outplayed. It's kind of crazy. If he takes, I think I have to take with the G pawn. And then if he takes, I take on c4. So now I take with the pawn. So that way, if he takes on d5, I take on c4. And at least the position is equal. But what did I get from this? Maybe I'm just going to have to play an endgame or something. Maybe I should have traded the queens. All right, let's just take. My king is also not the safest at all, but his queen is currently under attack. All right, queen moves out the way, which is immediately attacking my unprotected pawn. Queen e4 guards the pawn, hit the knight, knight c3, hits the queen, hits my knight. Oh my word, bro. All right, maybe I should just play an innocent queen c2 because I'm also trying to get my queen off the same line. Oh, but then there's still knight here. So maybe I should play f4 then. Let's try f4. Yeah, let's try f4 to not lose the pawn. If he plays knight b6, then what do I have? Damn, damn, that's a piece. Because the rook targets my rook. All right, this is losing, guys. This guy played so well, it's crazy. All right, so he took with the rook. I'm not able to take because my rook is going to be left hanging and my queen is under attack. All right, let's just go here, hit this pawn. If he takes, I'm just going to take back. Okay, now he's trading. I'm just going to try my best to swindle this guy, honestly. Can I win? Absolutely not. Okay, so rook goes over to guard the pawn. I need to swindle this guy. Let's attack the queen, threatening to eliminate the knight, grab the rook, but he is able to simply check. But after he checks, I'm probably just gonna play king g2. Queen takes is also a move though. What is happening? So check, I go king up, and if he plays queen takes, I can't sack because pawn takes protects the rook. But if he fudge. Whoa. Okay, let's apply some pressure here. All right, he guarded the pawn. I don't want to take this because it's just gonna make the game. I'm just gonna lose if I do that, to be honest. Dang, I don't want to take here. Like maybe I can take there and then try to draw the game though. Queen here, there's maybe king over. Yeah, let's just do this. Let's hit the rook. King here, I'm expecting. And then I'm going to try to win this pawn. Okay, he moves the rook again. Let's go back. Hit the pawn. Then he plays e6 to not lose the pawn. Gosh, I'm getting outplayed, guys. I'm getting outplayed. How does this even work now? Don't want to take this. Really don't want to take that pawn. All right, let's just move the queen. I'm just going to play some moves. Like, as long as he doesn't like force the queens off the board, then. And I can't even try to play fast because he has more time on the clock than me. Okay, hits the rook. Okay, let's just move. Not really sure where to put the rook, to be honest. Let's just move. Okay, knight goes back. How does this work? How does this work? Maybe the knight wants to come here. Like, I have no idea what's really taking place. Like, I just have to keep on playing some moves until something happens in the position. Let's go queen here. Maybe he wants to put the knight here and then put the queen somewhere and win this pawn. But I just got outplayed this game, guys. Like, okay, he jumps in with the knight. This is now under attack. Let's attack the knight. Immediately attack the knight. Knight to c5 hits the rook, and then maybe rook to c5 hits the knight. Okay, queen guards the knight, allowing me to take this. Oh, but then he goes here. Oh, okay, maybe I'm just gonna attack the knight then. Like the moment he forces the queens off the board, that's when I just have no hope. Because we can't trade being down in material. So even though I was able to take queen here, he's gonna trade. And if I don't trade, the discovered attack is gonna win the game. Now, if he moves the knight, I may play rook to d4. I'm also trying to play a bit fast, but he's also faster than me. It's crazy. What? Oh my god, bro. He sacrificed the knight. Now if I takes, there's a check and I lose the rook. How is this guy spotting these moves? Yeah, now it's just lost. Let's attack the queen. This is just lost. Good game, bro. All right, now the queen is on the same line as my king, so I have to try to move out the way of that. Um, Not a lot of square as far as knight though, but that's definitely a square. I'm probably gonna even get checkmate here because my queen is also just hanging. What can I do? I'll just move out the way. Yeah, I'm assuming I'm gonna get some brilliant checkmates because I'm not seeing any of the move that this guy's playing. Check. Ah, here it comes. Here. Check. Good game, bro. Look at that. What type of checkmate is that? Good game. Let's play some more Reti against 1700 players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 1700. Playing some more Reti opening. And whenever we see d4, that's when we play e3. And now we're seeing knight c6. And I've played someone like this before where they play knight c6 and I just trade everything on d4 because their queen is a bit compromised on the d4 square. And eventually, I'm going to be able to play bishop to d3 and attack their queen. But for now, let's just develop our knight. E5 was played, fair enough. Let's go d3 again. Plans to play bishop e3, and after he develops his knight, I develop my bishop, and then we gain the tempo on the queen. And he's also putting his queen on d6. Knight b5 and knight e4 are also attacking moves that I could play on the queen, but I don't think it gets me too much. If I put the knight here after he moves the queen, he's gonna attack my knight. If I put the knight here after he moves the queen, he's gonna attack my knight. So let's just focus on our development for now. Okay, bishop develops, And here I'll just castle my king. Like he's applying a lot of pressure to my weak pawn on d3, by the way. But it's not like he's able to castle and apply pressure. Maybe he's gonna play rook to d8 and apply pressure. And I mean, in a lot of cases, knight b5 hits the queen and target the pawn on a7. So it's not too bad my position. I can also check and then swing the rook over to d1. I can also play queen b3, hit the pawn on b7. Okay, now that we're seeing knight c6, he's trying to make it hard for me to play pawn to d4. Fair enough. Knight d5 is an idea. I'm still considering attacking his queen, but still I'm not seeing exactly what I'm gaining from that. So let's just put the queen on b3, hit this unprotected pawn. Now he has two attackers on d3, but if he takes on d3, rook to d1 is just a pin. So he decides to now castle his king. And a bunch of pressure is on my d3 pawn, which I don't really care too much, to be honest. Like, now I'm trying to apply some pressure to his a pawn, and I think he wants to play queen to b4. So I'm thinking about playing a3, preventing that. If he takes, I pin. Queen to g6 is an idea. How does this work though? Let's just play rook to d1 first, like maybe I'm losing the pawn and I don't want to lose the pawn. So let's just go with rook to d1. If queen b4, I think I'm going to go back to c2, then play a3 to chase the queen. Knight d4 is a very strong move. If he plays knight d4, okay, I knew he was going to play queen b4 because for some reason everybody is trying to trade the queens off the board. Let's not trade and play a3. And then once I play a3 and the queen moves, I'm going to be able to play b4. And that's how I'm going to be able to start an attack on his king. If he plays knight to d4, I'm just going to give up the bishop for the knight. I don't care. Very weird position. Like my pawn on d3 is weak, but I'm already in the middle game. He still needs to get out of the opening by finishing his development. Whoa. Yo, look at that, bro. Queen takes c4. That's a tactic. Okay, I really need to lock in. Now, if I take his queen, he takes my queen. Definitely not gonna go do that. Bishop g4 doesn't work because there's queen takes. Can't move the knight. What a nice tactic. One, two, three attackers, one, two, three defenders. All right, let me just ignore that and play a3. I'm still gonna prevent the knight from jumping in. Maybe I'm gonna go rook to c1 and then apply some pressure to his king. But queen takes c4, I just completely missed that move. Was expecting him to jump in with the knight. Plan was to eliminate that knight. And okay, now if he takes with the pawn, my knight is just pinned, so maybe I have to just take the queen. If he takes, what if I go bishop g4 though? Like now if I play bishop g4, I'm attacking the bishop. He's not able to take because he loses the queen. If he takes my knight, I take his bishop, then take the queen. Because if I take his queen, he takes my queen, my rook, and my knight is under attack. I think bishop to g4 is a very interesting move here. The bishop is also pinned, but I think all he needs to do is use the queen to defend the bishop. But I think I had to find that move, to be honest. Now, after the queen moves, what if, to save my knight, I play knight b5? Because I'm threatening a checkmate, I'm threatening a7, maybe then I trade. It's very weird. Let's see what he plays. Queen goes back. I can also hit the queen. That's a tempo on the queen as well. So tempo the queen. Queen has to move. Threaten a checkmate. He defends the mate with, let's say, pawn c6. All right, guys, I'm not 100% sure what's happening here. But I'm sure gaining a tempo on the queen cannot be a bad move. So let's gain the tempo on the queen first. My knight is hanging, my bishop is hanging, but his queen is hanging. This is danger levels. Queen moves out the way, which means my bishop is now really under attack. But what if I go knight b5 threatens mate? I think he's gonna play pawn to c6 at this point. There's a check king over, takes queen takes, sack the knight, and then his king is gonna be exposed. But I don't think I have enough pieces in the attack. That's the thing. Knight b5, pawn c6, trade. My knight also seems to be a bit trapped as well. I don't think I'm going to go with that idea. I think I'm just going to trade first. And then after the queen takes, I just centralize the knight. And then now I'm trying to threaten some checkmates on the c file. I'm down by a pawn, by the way, guys. So I still have to be very, very careful because he found a very, very nice tactic. But I think my knight in the center of the board is very good here. And I'm just going to start rolling these pawns up the board. Now, all my pieces are active except my a rook. So I need to quickly swing this in the game. King moves out the way. Let's continue. Swing this rook in the game, threatening his pawn on c7. He needs to defend against this threat, by the way. Bishop to d6 doesn't really work too well. So maybe it's queen to d7 here. He found queen to d7. Knight c5, I'm assuming the bishop is going to take. I need to start looking for some ways to create some weaknesses in his position. Let's go with b4, so that way if he plays f5 and I play knight c5 and the bishop takes, I'm able to play pawn takes and then attack on the b file. So he did play f5. All right, knight here, hit the queen. If he takes, we take with the pawn, so that way we can start the attack along the b file. Still down by a pawn, by the way, guys. So we're not looking to trade any pieces off the board if I don't have to trade. Pawn c6 is an idea, though, but that's also going to force me to trade. Okay, he plays queen c6 instead, and that's a very good square for a queen because he's also protecting his b7 square. Okay, now I need to figure out what's my plan to attack. All right, let me start with queen c4 and apply some pressure to this pawn, so that way if rook e1 and I trade, he's not going to want to take with the rook because he loses this pawn. I mean, taking with the queen is also going to be an option, though, so it's still a bit weird. Queen takes. Okay, he took with the rook. I guess we're winning back our pawn. I'll take it. We got back the pawn. Not too bad. Still not an easy position to play. I'm attacking this pawn. My back rank is a bit weak. He's not able to get his rook to my second rank just yet, because his back rank is also weak as well. And the moment he moves the queen, I'm going to be thinking about playing moves like c6. Okay, he moves the queen, threatening a checkmate on the back rank. It's very important that we do not fall for that. So let's just play h3, defending against that. Now, if he checks, I'm fine. And if he plays this, okay, I mean, I could trade the queens off the board, but it's not going to be a favorable endgame for me. I'd prefer to play queen to b4 and try to start some attack on his king. He did play that move. And by the way, guys, centralizing the queen is always good. So his queen is centralized, but now I'm threatening to play rook to b1 or pawn to c6. Again, I'm the one who wants to attack here. All right, rook moves, preventing this, also attacking my pawn. If I play here, he's going to centralize the queen. So let's just play pawn c6, threatening the mate. And after he plays b6, then my plan is to get the queen on a6. All right, how do I achieve this? How do I achieve this? I like the idea of playing rook e1 hits the queen. My queen guards the queen, so that's good. And if he tries to trade queens, his back rank is weak. I think I'm going to lose this pawn, by the way. I just don't want to lose this pawn. This pawn, I think, is an important pawn. Queen c5 could be a move. Takes, maybe rook here, and then start taking those pawns could be something. Or queen d6 could be a move. But he also needs to keep in mind that if I get my queen on a6, it's going to be a force mate. Ah, he's actually going for this idea. What if I play rook? Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Takes, rook's on the 7th, hit the pawn. He's not able to move his rook forward since his back rank is weak. So maybe he's going to push this pawn. At that point, or maybe I could just takes rook here. Then after he pushes the pawn, he takes, I takes. It's going to be a weird game, guys. I think it's best if I go into this endgame because that's a very active queen. So let's just trade first. The question is, do I go here or here? The position is equal, so that's not too bad. But do I go on e5 fork or do I go on e7 fork? If e5, there's g6. If e7, there's a6. Rook here hits the rook. Oh, I think it's e7 because if he plays a6, oh, that's kind of passive. That's very passive. I wasn't expecting him to do it that way. That's very passive. Now maybe I could go to e5 since his rook is on a weird square, and then I'm just going to be winning a pawn. That was very passive. Like once you're in a rook endgame, you don't really want to be playing those passive types of moves. Now I'm just ahead by a pawn. Rook could still go here. He finally decides to push. I'm going to push. And then if he plays king here, I push. So he hits the pawn. Okay, that was a nice move. That was a nice move. Okay, let's not lose this pawn. I'm ahead by a pawn, but it's not an easy pawn to defend, as you guys could see. Okay, let's push again, guarding the pawn. Maybe I'm gonna have to sack that pawn. Okay, rook here. I guard it this way. Oh, but then he has this. No, guy's not playing the end game well. Now I'm able to push, and then everything is going to be guarding each other. This is kind of like the position that I wanted. You see, it's crazy how these I-rated players, they're always playing very good chess, but once it reaches the end game, that's when the chess starts declining. If you want to get very good at the end game, again, I created a 4.5 hour end game course. You can find it in the description. It will take you to my Patreon. He's trying to activate his king. If he attacks my pawn, I'm just going to push. So I also need to ensure that I'm activating my king as well. Very, very important. Rook here threatens mate, but he's just gonna move. Let's try to activate the king. Okay. King moves. Now I have a check. Come on, bro. This guy's not playing well at all. Because now I'm able to get my rook to his seventh rank with tempo. If he goes here, check wins a pawn. If he goes here, that's a fork. If he goes here, rook to e7, I'm attacking this. My pawn on c6 is still very strong. Yeah, he's not playing this well at all, at all. Okay, how does this work? If I takes, he hits the rook. If I check first, he goes here. Yeah, I'm gonna check first, force him to go here, then maybe check him here. I just need to not get checkmate on the back rank though. For example, because I'm gonna have connected pawns, right? If I take, he's gonna take. If I take, he's gonna take. So check here, very risky by the way, because now he's gonna want to come in and checkmate my king. All right, pawn push takes. Pawn push, he gets behind. Oh, he's just gonna stay on the pawn. Backside, where's my time? Okay, let's take. Takes, king takes, and then, oh my god, I'm losing this with check. Fudge. Okay, let's just take. It's hard to win this. I think he took the wrong pawn, by the way. Let's attack this. 40 seconds. If he take, I take with check. Let's try to roll this up the board. Oh, yeah, he's just going to push that pawn. How am I going? Okay, let's just roll this past pawn now. His king is cut off. Very good. Very good. Let's roll. Let's keep rolling. Maybe here, here, king up, takes. This is still drawn, bro. Oh, that's not the move. No, my king is very strong. Yeah, he's I think he's trying to flag me at this point. Do I push? Check, king up. Very good. Very good. Grab this. 20 seconds. Check to force his king back. Ah, here's Zines. He blundered his rook. Good game. But more Reti opening against 1800 level players. Stick around. Opponent is now 1800. Okay, we're playing some Reti, but the guy decides to play f5. So he's basically playing some Dutch versus the Reti. Now, let's just continue with our normal Reti moves. We go pawn c4 here. He develops the knight. Now we go pawn b3. We're trying to fianchetto this bishop on the dark square diagonal. Pawn e6, we fianchetto the bishop, and now we're basically seeing a Reti versus a Dutch. It's like he's going to fianchetto his bishop as well. It's going to be a very interesting game. Let's just play pawn to e3 here. Again, we're following the regular, normal development in the Reti. Very simple game, by the way. Develop the bishop to e2, get the king castled, and I want to keep my options open on what I do with my d pawn because I know that in the Dutch, they want to have a very strong knight on the e4 square. So if I play pawn to d4, then it becomes hard for me to kick his knight from the e4. So my pawn on d2 may go to d3 and I may play knight c3 or knight d2, depending on the position. But for now, I'm just going to stay flexible. I'm probably just going to castle my king and play knight c3. But let's see how he finishes his development. Okay, now he plays e6. I think we're playing with the same plan. Like, he don't want me to put my knight here. Let's get the king castled. Now we have 3 minor pieces developed. We have the king castled as well. Knight b7. This pawn on e6 could be weak. There could be some knight g5 ideas which attacks the pawn, and it's usually not really easy for them to guard it. All right, now I need to finish my development. Do I play knight c3 d3 or d3 knight d2? I think I'm leaning towards d3 and knight d2 in this position because I don't want this knight to get access to my e4 square. He plays h6 because I think he wants to play bishop e7 and he don't want to allow knight g5. But that's fine, bro. Let's just keep developing. Now we have 4 minor pieces developed and the king is castled, which means once I move my queen, I'm now in the middle game. All minor pieces are developed, king is castled, rooks are connected, like every box are checked at that point. But he's not making any blunders or anything though, so his position is also fine. Queen e7 is also strong because he wants to ensure that this pawn remains guarded. If his plan is to castle on the queen side and then start an attack on my king side, then it's definitely going to be a crazy game. Let's just continue with my plan. Queen c2, connecting my rooks. And I talk about this a lot after the development of all your minor pieces. connect your rooks, and start thinking about ways to get your major pieces in the game. Now we're seeing pawn to g5. It will be a crazy game, guys, because he's definitely going to attack my king side, and I'm definitely going to have to attack his queen side. So since he's starting his pawn storm and he will be attacking my knight very soon, I'm going to start my attack. So let's go b4. If he attacks the knight, there's knight d4. If he attacks it again, there's knight b3. Okay. You know what would be very cool if he just castles on the king side, because I think he's able to castle on the king side and still try to attack my king. Okay, let's see. How am I going to do this? Like, if I'm able to play, let's say, c5, that would be good, but he's controlling the c5 square so much. Let's just play a4 here. Like, I don't think his king has to be castled on the queen side for me to attack on the queen side. I think my pieces are just lined up to start a queen side attack here. Like if he allows me to play pawn a5, that's also good. If he play pawn a5, I may take rook takes and play knight b3 with the idea of playing a4 and just try to open the queen side as best as possible, because the king side attack is coming. Like he has more control over the king side here. Whoa, was this a drawback mistake, Mr. 1800? Or did he do it on purpose? Like, is he just trying to give me the pawn so that way he gets the open line pointing towards my king? I mean, personally, it's a pawn. There's nothing guarding it. I mean, it is unprotected on the same line as the queen, but it's not like he's able to move this knight somewhere cool and attack my knight. Like, let's say he plays knight g4, right? He could just pull my knight back. It's dangerous, guys. This is very dangerous. But I mean, the guy wants to attack me anyways. Like that looks like a pawn. That's a pawn, bro. I take all free material. Now the dynamic of the game may switch a bit. Like if you guys are about to win a free pawn versus a higher rated player, you have to understand that it's not just 100% exactly free. You may have to play a few defensive moves. He decides to castle his king, and I think it allows me to do some another very strategic chess. Like you guys are learning so much strategic chess in this position. Please ensure to like the video. Like we're trying to hit 1,000 likes on this. But look at this. Whose bishop do you think is better? This is how you play good chess. His light squared bishop is definitely better than my light squared bishop. And because of that, I'm going to just trade the light squared bishops off the board, or just challenge his bishop, because if he doesn't want to trade, he could put a pawn in front of it. But in addition to that, it's a fianchetted bishop. And because he castled on the queen side, what we need to keep in mind is because it's a fianchetted bishop, if we're able to trade the fianchetted bishop off the board, it makes it easier for us to attack his king. So that's what we're basically going for here. Okay, my knight is under attack. I don't necessarily want to play f4. Maybe I do though. F4, take, nah, let's just pull the knight back. It's fine. My G2 pawn is definitely going to be the main focal point of attack here. And he's going to simply play rook g8, queen g7, force me to play g3, and then he's going to play h4. So it's going to be crazy, guys. But this is gonna be a crazy game. He's trying to attack my king side. I'm gonna attack his king's queen side, which his king is on. Now we have to ensure that we're looking on all possible forcing moves of the opponent. So if he checks and I take and he checks, I just run with the king. And then if he threatens a checkmate, there's rook to g8. With that being said, I'm starting my attack. Like my pawns are already having contact with his pawns. Okay, I'm expecting queen to g7 here. Queen g7, pawn g3. If h4, there's knight takes. Maybe f4. Okay, queen g7. I just have to do it, guys. It's not a case where maybe I want to do it, maybe I don't. I kind of have to play g3 here. Otherwise, I'm just going to be getting checkmated. All right, what is this guy actually doing now? Because he's putting his knight, like, learn to count or something, bro. Like, can't you see that I have two square on the e5? What is this guy doing? Okay, I could also ignore it and then take. But it's a free pawn and we take all free material. So knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. What does he have? What is he seeing that I'm not seeing? Maybe pawn h4. But it's very cool because my bishop also guards g3, so I'm chill. Takes, takes, takes. Guys just donating pawns at this point, bro. Like, learn to count, buddy. I have two pieces covering the square. You only have one. No, I'm just ahead by 2 pawns. And I'll still get the attack on his king. Don't think I'm not going to get the attack on his king. Okay, pawn h4. I think that's his idea. He don't want my knight to cover the h4 square. Like, what I'm seeing now is if I takes, he's going to play pawn takes. And then if I play queen to a4, he's going to play rook here. And he's going to be defending. With that being said, what if I play queen here first? Yes, I'm leaving this unprotected, but if he takes, I take, and he's gonna be in big trouble. Okay, there's no. I mean, if he takes, I'm just gonna take back. I'm not scared. Not scared at all. There's also knight f3 to d4, which targets this pawn. There's also some sacrifices on e3. Luckily, my bishop is very well placed on e5. Takes, takes. I don't know, bro. Like, I don't want to play. Actually, queen d1 is not too bad because I can check and then push. Yo, what's the best way to do this? You know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna rush this. So let's be a bit more patient about what's happening. Let's go with knight f3 with the idea of playing knight d4. His rook is not gonna be too active. I'm gonna be applying pressure here. If queen to g4, this is left unprotected, but we still need to be careful because if I takes and he takes, h3 is the threat, but could go queen to d1 and try to trade the queens off the board first. Okay, he took. Don't want to take with the f pawn because that's a drawback. Taking with the bishop is fine. I think taking with the h pawn is what I need to do here. Like it opens the h file, but it's gonna take him a while to really attack me on the h file. Or maybe I should take with the bishop. Hmm. Nah, let's just take with the pawn. I'm being a bit scared here, so let's not do that. There's also king to g2, which supports g3 in case he wants to apply like ultimate pressure to g3. And then the moment he tries to checkmate me on like the h1 focal point, I can always just play king to h1. Keep in mind, all of this is happening while I'm ahead by 2 pawns. So if he's not gonna checkmate me right now, then he's just gonna lose the game. Okay, he puts the bishop here. I think it's time for him to start getting his pieces over here. I'm sure that's his idea. Since I'm ahead in material, I don't see an issue with just start trading pieces off the board as well. My time is also running out. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go king to g2 first. So that way, the moment, like I don't mind if the rook goes to the h file, but the moment the queen goes to the h file, that's when I'm gonna play rook h1. And my rook isn't really doing anything on f1 anyway, so I can always just go rook h1 and put my rook on a more active square. Okay, now he moves his queen out the way. Queen here could be an idea. Takes, queen takes, takes, queen takes. We're just trading. Takes, takes. Maybe I should go b5. Yeah, I mean, his last move didn't really create a threat. Hmm. Oh, shoot. My time is actually running out. Let's go rook h1 here. I mean, maybe I don't think it's bad if I just trade the pieces off the board here, actually. Okay, he moves the knight, hit the bishop. Not a bad move at all. If I takes, there's knight takes. Bishop back takes, takes. Hmm. Okay, now I want to trade some pieces off the board. Let's trade some pieces off the board. If bishop takes, I go f takes. What I'm calculating is if he pulls the bishop back, trying not to trade, which would be the right thing to do since he's down in material, then I'll just play d4. And because I don't want him to play e5 and try to trap my bishop either. But I'm not seeing any attack on my king here. Wait, what? What is this? Oh, he wants me to take with the bishop and then after takes, he take. I'm just gonna take with the f pawn though, bro. Wait. Oh, wait, I think I have to take like this. And then after bishop takes, I'm just not gonna take. That was a nice move actually, because if I takes, I'm mated. Whoa. All right, now we're only ahead by 1 pawn. Okay, let's see. Let's just hit the bishop. That was a very nice tactic that he found. Because if I take here, I'm definitely going to be mated on g3. Pawn push is also an idea. Now I have to be very careful with 1 minute left on the clock. There's always knight e5, queen f3, a3. Go for some checkmate on the light squares. That's what I'm thinking about here, but we just have to be fast. Okay, bishop goes back. Let's hit the queen first. Attacking the queen. Think he needs to keep the bishop guarded, otherwise check and take the bishop is just winning. But if he plays queen to h6, then there's discovered attacks. Okay, I'm kind of liking, ooh, we got him. We check him, hit the king, grab the bishop, win the game. We definitely got him. Very nice. Because I'm not able to take with the pawn, but I am able to take with the queen. If he plays king back, let's take here first, actually. Let's not take the bishop, because now, if he takes with the pawn, he's mated. If he saves the bishop, he's mated. And if he takes with this pawn, I'm able to take with check. Now, I'm the one who is attacking him. Okay, we check. Pawn push I'm expecting. But that is indeed a pawn. Yo, this is just winning. Like, once I don't make like the most horrendous blunder, like the main focal point here is my f2 pawn, which is easily defended, and it's very hard for him to attack it. Let's just move my queen out the way. I'm assuming he's going to try to attack it again, and there's always rook a2 to guard it. Maybe even knight f5 if he allows it. Okay, that I didn't see. Yeah, that I didn't see. There's no take since I'm guarding this. I want to go rook here and then just trade though, to be honest. My queen is also guarding f2, so I'm fine. All of a sudden, his time is also running out. Like, the position is getting easier for me to play. Now we're just going to trade. Both of the rooks, I'm attacking this rook, and the rooks are also pointing towards each other. And I'm threatening to take on e5 and trade the queens off the board. So he moves. Okay, let's just trade everything. Check, queen has to take, check, queen has to take, and the position is just one. I wouldn't be surprised if he just resigned here, to be honest. Okay, let's just not lose the knight. That's a pawn, bro. That is a pawn. Okay, let's just move my rook out the way. The good thing about this is his time is significantly lower than mine's. My plan is just to roll my pass pawns up the board and win the game that way. So let's see. Oh, that's just a fort, bro. Good game. If he puts the king here, that's mate. If he puts the king here, I grab the rook. I mean, I'm expecting resignation. He resigns. And he resigns. More Reti opening against 1900 level players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 1900. We're playing some more Reti opening. Knight f3, he responded with knight f6. There's a bunch of different ways in which we could go ahead and play the Reti. Like, we could play c4 here. We could play b3. We could even play b4 in this position. But since I like to play knight f3 followed by c4, let's just go ahead and play c4. And if we're playing against King's Indian defense variation, then I mean, Fianchettoing is always fine. So now we're seeing e6, which means maybe he wants to play d5. Let's just play b3 followed by bishop b2, Fianchettoing the yeah, this is exactly what we're gonna be playing. Like whenever they play like this is how we want to play it. We want to play b3 to protect the pawn, then play bishop to b2, and afterwards we want to play moves like e3, knight c3, develop castle, and we're gonna have a decent position. So I don't necessarily want to go knight c3 now because obviously I have to be on the lookout for pawn to d4, which would kick the knight. So let's just play pawn to e3 for now, defending the pawn on c4 another time. And then after he castled, then we play knight c3. So we're basically developing very normal here. Pawn pushes is not an option. The thing is, taking on c4 is always a move, but the thing about this is I'm going to be left with more pawns in the center than him. And I really like to see when they play c5 here because now I can actually find myself in a position that is just so easy to play. For example, I could first take on d5. If he takes with the pawn, we play d4. Exactly what we want, by the way, guys. This is exactly what we want playing the Reti. Now we play d4, and if he decides to trade on d4 and we take back with the knight, he's left with this isolated pawn on d5, which would actually be a long-term weakness for him. And that's exactly what our 1900 rated player is doing. So after he takes, let's just take with the knight here. And from here, it's going to be very, very simple development for us. Like, we're just going to be getting our pieces out from here. Now, he plays this move bishop to g4. I mean, I'm not sure if I should go bishop e2 or queen d2. Like, based on my experience, I like to go bishop e2 to f3 to apply pressure to the pawn. I'm definitely not going to play f3. And if I play queen d2, I'm wondering if knight e4 is a move. Like, takes, pawn takes, I'm not really seeing what I have. Now, another thing that I want you guys to keep in mind is whenever you notice that your opponent has isolated pawns, then trading the minor pieces off the board is always going to be beneficial. The question is here, though, is what's the best way to take back this? I'm just going to take with the queen since I haven't moved my queen as yet. There's a lot of ideas where I could go knight to f5 and hit this bishop. For example, now I'm seeing knight c6 and I don't necessarily want to take because it unisolate his pawn. Knight f4, I'm wondering if pawn to d4 is a move. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play rook to d1 and protect the knight. Like if he wants to take and then I take back, then his pawn on d5 is gonna be very, very weak. Like we're now taking a long-term, strategic, positional approach trying to win this game. Our opponent has an isolated pawn. Whenever you notice that your opponent has weak pawns, then bringing them in an endgame is usually very, very good because it's easier to target the weak pawns in the endgame. Because remember, in the endgame, we attack pawns. Okay, he plays queen a5, pinning my knight, connecting his rooks. That's fine. I'll just get my king castled from here. And there's some knight f5 ideas that I have to apply pressure to his bishop. A3 followed by B4 is also an idea. Just need to be very, very slightly careful because if he takes, should be able to pin bishop to B4. Nice move. He's applying some pressure to my knight twice, by the way, which I'm only guarding once. He can also apply more pressure to the knight via the C file as well. So again, we need to be a bit careful. What if I just play queen d3? If I play queen d3, there's knight e5. Queen c2, there's rook c8. So I need to ensure that I play the best move here. Like this is probably a critical point in the game for me. There's rook to d3, but then there's still knight to e5. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Since he's attacking my knight, I'm going to move the knight. But I have to be aware of any drawback mistake. For example, if I move my knight anywhere that is not a4, the queen takes this free pawn. So I'll just put my knight on the a4 square for the time being. Like he's attacking the knight. And because the bishop is on my half of the board and it's been very, very annoying, then we know what we're going to be doing from there. We're going to be following the principle of neutralization, which is to play this move pawn to a3 and just force that bishop out of our half of the board. There's no b5 since it loses the knight. Maybe he could take here first, then play b5. Didn't really give a count for that. But at that point, I should be able to take on f6, and nobody wants to have such ugly double pawns. In fact, that's a very cool idea. If I'm able to take here, yes, it unisolates his pawns, but imagine how ugly those double pawns in front of his king would be. Okay, he's still trading. Knight takes d4. How do we take back? Okay, I think I have to take with the bishop because if I take with the rook, b5 makes a lot of sense. So let's just take with the bishop, apply some pressure to his knight on f6. Very simple plan here. I just want to take the knight on f6 and double up his pawns. My knight on a4 is on the edge of the board, by the way, so it is annoying. And my bishop is no longer on b2, so there's no a3. So we have to have we have to just be super careful here. I'm expecting him to play knight to e4 here because you don't want me to take on f6. All right, how do we continue after knight e4? Let's say we go rook to c1, putting the rook on the file. So that way, if he plays b5, I'm able to go knight c5, but then the knight covers the c5 square. Hmm. Okay, that was a bit passive. He pulls the bishop back to e7 because he's not trying to double up his pawns. I think he should have just moved the knight forward, to be honest. If I takes bishop takes, I'm not necessarily winning this pawn just yet. And my knight is on the edge of the board, so we need to take care of that. I'm thinking knight c3, knight e4. Can't really sack, to be honest, because taking, I mean, I could sack there. Hit the queen, grab the rook. It's 2 pawns for the piece. It's not really the best, but it's definitely something. I'm also thinking of just playing rook c1. I'm assuming he's going to play rook c8 at that point. I also like the prophylactic f3, but I don't know. Something is telling me f3 is wasting time, but I don't really want his knight on e4, so maybe I should play f3. This. I think this is going to be a critical point in the game for me. There's also queen to b2, which just prevents him from moving the knight since he loses g7. So I like that move. And pawn b5 is still not as strong. Yeah, actually, I'm going to go with queen b2. Yeah, let's go with queen b2 and apply more pressure to this diagonal. My rook on f1 is really not doing anything. So if I could put the d rook on c1 and then the f rook on d1, then that would make a lot of sense. And all my pieces would be very active in that scenario. Okay, he puts his rook on the file. Very, very fair move. I think I'm just going to challenge the file as well, to be honest. Like, let's just challenge the file. So that way, anytime he plays b5, I'm able to put my knight on the c5 square. Again, we're playing a very long-term strategic game here, guys. Like, I'm not necessarily thinking about how do I checkmate this guy's king right now. Nah, we have to be very strategic about our plans here. Like, I really don't mind if we go in an endgame and then he's just left with a slightly worse pawn structure. And then that's what helped me to win this game. Okay, trading I was not expecting there because once I take back, I have very good control over the file, and it's not really easy for him to put his rook on the c file. This is one of those cases where to take was definitely a mistake. My plan is to play knight c5, but I have to be careful since my queen and my rook is on the same line and there's possibilities of bishop a3. For example, knight c5, pawn b3, pull the knight back, and then boom. So we have to be careful about that. Okay, now he's pulling his queen all the way back. Was that a drawback mistake, by the way? Like, wasn't the queen guarding the a7 pawn? Pulling the queen back to d8, all the way back to d8, that no longer guards the a7 pawn. Why can't I just grab that free pawn? Like, what does he have if I just grab the free pawn? Like, I'm not seeing it. It's not like he's able to trap my bishop or anything. Maybe he's able to play pawn to b5, hit the knight, but I'll just pull the knight back to c3 and attack the pawn. That's a pawn, bro. It's crazy. Like the position was a bit hard for him to play anyways, and him playing rook takes c8. Remember when I told you guys that I would love my f rook to be doing something? And this is what I always tell you guys. Whenever a trade like this happens, you don't necessarily trade your c rook for my c rook because the c rook is gonna be there anyways. He's basically trading his c rook for my f rook because look at the difference now. His c rook disappears, my f rook disappears. Now he puts the queen back to a5. All right, how do I do this? There's bishop b6, which hits the queen, followed by rook c7, which hits the bishop. I really do not have to do all of this complication though. Like maybe I should just put the bishop back on d4. Again, if he plays b5, there's knight c5, because now he's trying to get a bishop on a3. So I'm just going to simply play knight c5. Now we're ahead by a pawn. He has an isolated pawn. We have the pawn majority on the queen side. If he give up his bishop for the knight, then that's even more pressure on him. Okay, maybe now he's able to play rook to c8 since I put the knight in the way. I mean, if he wants to get his rook in the game, this is his chance. But since I'm ahead by a pawn, I don't mind trading. Okay, he did put his rook on the file. Pawn to b4 hits the queen. Pawn to a4. I think he wants to play b4 and apply some pressure to my knight. At that point, I'm just going to pull back to d3. Um, I think I just need to ensure that I'm not getting any background checkmates or anything weird in this position. I also like the idea of playing f3 so that way his knight is never able to jump in. Even though if he moves the knight, I'm able to take here. There's also h3. Which one of these pawns should I push to not get checkmated on the background? Because I need to be careful. Maybe I'm going to play f3. Wait, I have to be careful because if I have to move my, oh my God, look at this, bro. Look how weak my back rank is. Takes, he sacked the rook and then checkmate me here. Whoa, imagine if I had fell for that. Okay, with that being said, let's just play g3. Let's just play g3. Now we do not have any form of back rank weaknesses. And then he plays h6, basically doing the same. All right, let's just slowly improve our position. King to g2, very, very slow, slight improvement of the position. Again, the position is hard for him to play, so I don't really need to complicate the game here. Okay, that's a decent move. He's applying some pressure to my pawn on a4 now, or a1. Like my plan was to play a4. So let's say I play a4. He eliminates my. Okay, that doesn't work because rook takes hit the queen. So if I play a4, he plays pawn takes. I play pawn takes. He eliminates the knight. I hit the queen. The queen takes. Now his knight on f6 is just so weak. I take here. There's always a check here that I need to look out for though. Pull the king back. He takes back. I take with my queen. If he checks on the back rank, I play king up. If he checks here, I block. And I think that endgame is going to be winning for me. I think that endgame is winning. But let me just play one more move to be safe. Let's just play rook to c2, guarding the pawn, just to be safe. Like, his time is also running out, even though my time is running out. But the position is just so hard for him to play. Now I'm sure he's just not sure what to do here. And this is another thing that you guys could do to outplay your opponent. Like the thing that I did with g3 followed by king to g2, it's just such slight improvement of the position. Like if there's no more progress, maybe I would have played h4. And then, as you guys could see, he's just not having any clue what is happening. Now he's doing me a favor by trading the queens off the board. Yeah, we're definitely gonna trade since my rook is guarding this. And now we're just in an endgame where I'm better. Maybe even taking here is an idea. Again, we do not want the knight to have any possible forward move. So let's play f3, preventing the knight from moving forward. And since we're in the endgame, I'm gonna slowly centralize my king. Okay, now he pulls the knight back. So I'm assuming he wants his knight somewhere here. Remember what we do in the end game, guys. We attack weak pawns. So pulling the knight back, there's ideas of playing knight f4, and we're targeting this pawn. Okay, he's still trying to trade the pieces off the board, but I think we got him in a tactic here because his knight and his rook is just on the same line. So if I go here, yes, there's a drawback. He's able to take with check. I move the king. And if he puts the king here, I check. Oh, wait. If I go here, he takes, I move the king, there's king over. I check, there's block. I actually don't really have much there. Okay, let's just continue with the plan. Let's just target his weak pawn. Like, my pawn is going to be isolated now, but it's easier to defend my ISO pawn. Okay, now we slowly get the king in the game. Very, very slowly. Bringing the king in the game. Now my king is guarding the ISO pawn. Let's get the king as active as possible. I'm also trying to ensure that I'm chasing away this rook so I can start rolling my pawns up the board. Okay, the rook moves away. We go king here. Again, we're targeting the opponent's weak pawn. This was like a textbook game, guys. Now notice how his position is passive. Literally all his pieces are playing defensive role. Rook to c5. Now we're just going to start gobbling up all the pawns. You see how long it took me to win his ISO pawn? But I still won the pawn. Now we're ahead by 2 pawns. He's not able to trade rooks here because it's just going to make the position way easier for me to win. Now it's just a matter of rolling my connected pass pawns up the board. All right, he hits the knight. Let's just move the knight out the way here. And from here, it's just a matter of pushing the pass pawn. All right, knight back. Pass pawns must be pushed. Very simple plan. Let's roll the pass pawn up the board. Simply rolling the pawn up the board here. Now we hit the knight and then start to roll the other pawn up the board. This was like a textbook game, guys. Very, very textbook. Okay, usually we don't want to trade, but I'm assuming he's going to be getting checkmated with his king in the corner here. We check him here, king has to move, and that's just a checkmate. More Reti opening against 2,000 level players. Stick around. Our opponent is now 2,000, almost 2,100, but we're going to be finishing this off with a banger of a Reti opening. Let's go pawn c4. What are we going to be facing here? Pawn c6, okay? So maybe he's going to be playing d5. Let's just continue with the plan. Pawn b3, we're going to be putting the bishop on this diagonal. Okay. And do I play e3 here or do I go bishop b2 first? Like, if I play e3 and he takes, am I going to take with the bishop? That's the question. And the answer is yes. I think I'm going to take with the bishop and then just play d4 and my position is fine. I'm expecting some bishop f5, bishop g4, e6. Like, that's not really a bad way to finish development for black. Like, if he develops like that, then he's not going to be having any bad pieces. So bishop g4 was played. Let's just go bishop to b2 here, trying to finish my development as well. Okay, knight d7. And already I'm expecting e5 since my knight would be pinned in that scenario. So let's just go bishop e2. So the knight is not pinned. And if he really wants to play e5, he has to at least give up the bishop for a knight, which is not bad for us. And he decides to play e6 instead. All right, so what I'm going to do here is instead of playing d4 and block my bishop out, I'm going to play d3, knight d2, and castle. Again, it's a position that you could get if you play the Sicilian defense as black. You can also get this position with white. It's kind of like a hedgehog setup, and I usually play this setup with the black pieces when my opponent plays d4 and I'm not really sure what they're playing. But I'm expecting something like bishop e7 and castle, maybe bishop d6 and castle. Like, he's playing some good chess so far. Like, I'm not really seeing any bad pieces on his part. Check. Fair enough. Let's just block with the bishop. Don't really think he needed to put the bishop there though, because eventually I'm going to play a3 and gain a tempo on his bishop. And I don't think he's planning on giving up the bishop here. So maybe he should have just put the bishop on e7 or d6 and then just castle. But let's see what he plays after this. Okay, he took on f3 because now I'm not able to take with the knight. It's okay though. I'll just take with the bishop. Like, big deal. I'm going to castle on the next turn anyways. Or maybe he wants to play queen to a4 and trade the queens off the board. Very interesting. Are you going to be giving up both of your bishop pairs though, bro? Let's attack the knight and see if he's going to be giving up 2 bishops. Because this is just going to be a very long-term advantage for us. I already have a bishop here. Imagine if he gives up both of the bishop just in the name of, ooh, I'm trading the pieces off the board. Now my chances of drawing the game is very high because that's how these guys think, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if I see knight c5 here because it is threatening a fork on b3. If knight c5, there's always just king c2, guard the pawn, then chase the knight. If not, I'll just go b4 and prevent knight c5. Hmm. He plays a5 first because he knows that I want to play b4. I don't care, bro. I don't want your knight on the c5 square. So he's playing a prophylactic move, trying to prevent b4. I'm going to play a prophylactic move, trying to prevent knight c5. So now there's no knight coming here. And if he wants to trade, I'm going to take. And then if he trades the rook, my rook gets the file. And by the way, guys, since we're in the endgame, it's not really advised that he castle his king here because king activity is crucial in the endgame. So if he did castle, but I think he needed to keep his king in the center. All right, how does this work? Takes I don't like. C4 is decent. Takes don't really do much. Maybe he wants e5. This rook isn't really doing much, so let's just go rook to c1, putting the rook on The C file, it's not really a file just yet though, but if I take it could become a file. I just don't want his knight on the C5 square. Okay, he's trading. Let's just take back. I'm sure he's not gonna take because to take is a mistake. Like, why would he give me the file? Knight, that makes so much more sense. He's not applying a lot of pressure to this pawn. But bishop to d4 is just a nice move, I'm assuming. Like, knight a4 means his knight is just on the edge of the board chilling. So I really wouldn't mind that move. So let's just hit that knight. And if he trades first, it's not like he's able to take on c4, even though he has more attackers. But knight back to d7. I did not give account for. That's not a bad move. Maybe I could have took on f6 and give up one of the bishop and said, hey, at least I double up your pawns. But okay, he just pulls the knight back. He just pulls the knight back. I think he should have used this knight though, to be honest. Now if I play b5, there's c5. If I takes, he takes with the e pawn. So we have to ensure that we're very patient here. I think he wants to play e5 and attack my bishop, which I don't really care if he does. Let's just pull the bishop back to e2 to guard this pawn. So that way, if he plays e5 and I go back and he puts the knight back, well, he's not going to be able to do it because it hangs the pawn. So it's just one of those positions where I'm slightly better. Pawn b6, this is now unprotected, which means if I take with the c pawn, he has to take with his c pawn. Hmm. Okay, maybe he wants to play c5. Did I play b5? Nah, he's gonna play c5. If I play c5, he plays b5. How does this work? I think I'm going to take here now. I think it's time to take. Now both my rooks are just very active. There's no c5. And if he takes, okay, if he takes with the knight and I take here, I lose. I do not lose my rook, but I lose this pawn. I think I have an advantage, but it's not a huge advantage. I have the bishop here though, so I'm thinking about all the possible ways in which I could open the position, which is why I'm trying to get some pawn trades in. But since I'm trying to win this game, I do not want to trade too many pawns off the board. But pawn trades, once you have the bishop here, is a very, very good strategic idea. Okay, knight takes I wasn't expecting. Why is this just not a pawn? Like, if I take this pawn, hmm, I take this pawn, he takes my rook, I take, there's knight takes. Very interesting. Don't think I want that though, but is there anything I could do to not allow it? That's the thing. I think I'm just gonna go in it. Let's just go in it. Let's just grab the pawn. His pawn on b5 is going to be a pass pawn, but it's going to be a very weak pawn. It's going to be a harder game to win, by the way, because if all the pawns are on one side of the board, the knight could actually be a bit better than the bishop. So we have to lock in here. Rook takes, bishop takes, knight takes. Or maybe rook takes, bishop takes. Nah. Maybe he's also just going to play knight takes, hit the rook. That point, I'll go rook to c7, hit the knight though. So knight takes, hit the rook. Again, takes, I'm not afraid of. So we play rook to c7, attack the unprotected knight. If he takes, I take back. The knight is under attack. And I'm predicting that I'm going to be winning this pawn. Like, he's going to have to play the strongest chess of his life to not lose that pawn. Okay, now he jumps in with the knight. Clearly, he wants his rook on this open file. Oh my God, I almost fell for a fork. That would be so weird, bro. All right, if I go here, that's still a fork. I could go to c3, check. Check, I'm probably just gonna move. I think this knight is going back to d5 anyways. Maybe I should go rook here. I do not want to allow the fork though. That's the thing. I want to keep the pieces on the board. And if I pull the bishop back, he takes here. It's getting a bit tricky, guys. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's just take the file. Let's just take the file. If he check, I play king up. If he takes, maybe I take this knight instead. So that way I gain the tempo on the knight. Knight here checks, maybe king up, and then I start targeting this pawn. It's not an easy game. This is not an easy game at all. I didn't really want to give up one of my bishop, but he won it. But it's going to be tricky for him though. Knight here, king up, knight takes. This is the knight I'm going to take. Okay, he didn't go for that. He's applying some more pressure here. Also make a ton of sense. Pawn push, there's still knight up. Bishop d4, there's still a check here. Okay, maybe I should play d4. Since I'm going to lose the dark squared bishop anyways, let's just go d4. Check, king up. Takes, takes. Okay, he can also check here. Backside e5. He's applying pressure, but then I have bishop here though. I do have bishop here. And bishop here actually defend against knight b3 and it applies pressure to f7. I think he's getting very ambitious. Like maybe he thinks he's winning or something. Let's see. Because now there's no more checks. f7 is now under attack. If he takes on d4, yeah, I'm probably not gonna take on f7. Or maybe I could. Take on f7, king move, then I take and attack the knight. Or maybe just play bishop takes. Check, king here, bishop takes. That's a bit risky, to be honest. Bishop takes. Yeah, let's just go bishop takes. The threat is better than the execution. Like, if he plays king here, my rook is going to be the only defender of the bishop, and I don't want him to have any removing the guard tactic that catches me. But now you guys can see why the bishop here is so strong now. Okay, there's knight e6, but oh, I'm going to take and then take on g7, and that's winning. Yeah, he got too ambitious. There's also knight c6, which hits my bishop and my rook, and I did not see that move. But if knight c6 I take, and I'm already threatening some discovered attack, so he's not going to be able to take here just yet. I need to get my king out of this pin though. Like if I could just play king to e1, then I'll be good. Remember to like the video, guys. Leave a comment. Okay, check. King here. There's no more knight checks. He's completely selling this now. Because b6 and f7 is now hanging, and my bishop here is now just so strong. Okay, now he plays knight back. It's definitely a move. Oh, because now he's guarding this, and he's attacking this. But what if I take here first, hit the rook, and if the rook attacks the bishop, I hit the rook again. And if I hit the rook and the rook goes here, I just need to save the bishop. Yeah, let's take it the rook. If he takes, I take, and I'm winning. Oh, that can't be the move. Hit the rook again. After the rook move, we grab this, bro. Oh, we definitely got him now. We definitely got him. Good game, though, bro. I mean, I think this guy played very well, but obviously, the end game is usually going to be a main determining factor, especially at the higher level. And by the way, guys, if you want to get better at your end game, you can get my 4.5 hour end game course on my Patreon. I will also link that in the description. Okay, so he decides to counterattack my rook, which is fine. I'll just take his rook. It's fine, bro. Just give me the rook. Because after he takes my rook, I'll take this knight, and now I'm just playing with the extra piece. And because I have the two bishops versus the knight, I'm telling you that that knight could be getting trapped very, very soon. All right, how do we do this though? Let's hit the knight. Let's see where he puts it first. If he pull it back, then it's trapped. If he put it here, then it's trapped. If he put it here, then it's trapped. Now that he puts the knight there, the knight is already dominated. This is called domination, guys. The knight now has no good forward move. So once I attack the knight, he's forced to put it on e6. I'll just trade the pieces off the board, and now I'll just win a very easy endgame. He played very well, though. Very well. I mean, I'm expecting resignation, but I guess he's not going to resign. So we're just going to have to convert this. Okay, king moves. Let's prevent his pawns from moving. Eventually, he's going to find himself in Zugzwang. And he resigns.